all day.
You good?
Know you?
All right. Back to another episode of Even More About Nothing. We thank you for joining us. I'm Rafiki, one of your hosts. Across the table from me.
Oh, I guess it's me. I guess I am across. Oh man, so it's late.
It's not that late.
I had a cold for the last 3 days. It's been a rough week. I am your secondary host, primary host, co-host, whatever sort of host / enter term here I qualify as. That's me. Caleb, go by the name Mookie. I'm just gonna stop introducing my name as Caleb. Just like Mookie, nice to meet you. This episode got a special guest, an extra special guest, extra special with the E on top.
Yep.
My man John, day one fan, always been down since day one.
Yeah, definitely giving us that traffic that we need for the podcast, and we're definitely glad to have him on the podcast. Finally, this man is intellectual in ways that I wish I was. So we'll allow him to introduce himself. John.
I'm John. So, I've gone by other names, but that's the one we'll use today most of the time. But yeah, no, like they said, I've been following this from the beginning because I'm a nerd and this is a nerd show, so it seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So, before we dive in and get deep, so far, I wouldn't say we've done anything significant, but so far, what have been your favorite bits that you've heard, and then the bits you were just like, what were they thinking? From a fan, from an outside perspective, because we're always here.
Yeah.
Right. Even when we listen to it, we still feel like
yeah.
we're in the recording room, so we don't have that outside perspective.
No,
so
that makes sense.
What have been your favorite bits, and what have been the bits you were just like, I could have done without that?
I feel like, I don't know if there's been anything where I would say I could have done without that. I mean, last episode was a little weird, but that was just everybody was super tired. Yeah. So I kind of took that as like the weird episode.
I think every show has to have one like mandatory. There's always that one.
Yeah, and I mean, not in a bad. It was a little shorter, and I guess maybe that would be the closest. There was a couple kind of maybe awkward points in it, but
Gibby had no hold bars in that. Young boy Ace was just gone.
I mean, like, there's maybe there's maybe segments where you guys talk about stuff that's not in my sphere of interest, but that's not so much what are they thinking as we're not all clones of each other?
Yeah.
Like, when you guys talk about shoes, I'm like, I wear shoes.
I wear shoes.
Shoes go on feet.
I wear shoes. I have those.
Shouldn't have holes. And that's about as far as I go. Like, I mean, I fully acknowledge that I am not. I'm not really a fashion guy in general. I feel lucky to make sure I have pants and shirts that don't clash. And I know which part of the body those two go on. So that's important. That is important information.
You aren't completely hopeless.
But favorite stuff, like, I liked when you guys were all talking about, like, your top 5 favorite heroes. I feel like that's always kind of I'm enough of a comic nerd, I feel like that reveals a little bit about somebody. I thought it revealed something about myself that my first thought was, well, I could just fill that list with Batman and not have it even be the same guy. But then I did think up a list that wasn't just Batman. So if you want to get to that in a minute, I can. But
we can always do that.
That was a good segment. I actually kind of enjoy hearing thoughts, about video games, like, even if it's not one I'm like, oh, I'm going to play that. Because I just kind of like hearing thoughts on that, video games, comic books, all that stuff, I like kind of having the finger on the pulse of comics, even if I don't buy them myself. So that's always fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to pin down a specific segment other than maybe, again, like the top 5 favorite superheroes. That was a fun little bit, I thought.
We should probably, every so often try to do that, because I do like those top 5s, and then trying to argue those lists and really try to see if we can nail down from our perspective what what should make up the best of that list. So,
and I feel like top 5 is good because it makes you choose, but you have a little more flexibility than a top, like your top, or like even a top 3. I feel like top 5 is a good sweet spot. Top 10 isn't bad if you're writing it down, but if you're sitting around talking about it, especially with multiple people, 5 is good. It's a good... Yeah. 5's a good number. I like 5. It multiplies well.
Yeah. Like, IGN right now is doing the top 100 video games of all time, and I'm just like, I hate this list. Everything about this list is wrong. And then they get to the top 20, I'm like, all right, okay. And then they get to the top 5, I'm like, I'm going to burn this building to the ground. What are you people thinking? Speaking of that, if we're going to, since we've already segued into it, the top 100 games of all time would be insane if us 3 people to go, and we'll be here for 2 years.
Oh.
But, since you like 5 so much, top 5 video games. I kind of want to do 2 lists all time and then just like your favorites, but like let's stick with one. Which one would you rather do? Like in your opinion,
what's the difference between saying top 5 of all time and just your top 5 favorites?
There's sometimes some games like you might not like, but you acknowledge as being this is one of the greatest games of all time.
Okay, so
I think that's gonna be that's gonna be a little tougher because then you're gonna need a little more game knowledge.
All right, so in that case,
so why don't we just do
your
our
favorite
top 5 that
top 5 video games
played? Well, since you're the guest, we'll let you start first.
Oh, okay. My top 5 video games of, I guess, my all time. These are not going to be in a definitive ranked order. They're going to be in the order that I think them up, since I didn't think about this ahead of time. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and in the first option I will pick will be the Batman Arkham games, because I feel that could almost be a top 5 list in of itself, but on a more serious note, I feel like they've been connected well enough, it's kind of almost one entire game. I mean, each one has built on the last, both story-wise and mechanic-wise. I've played all 4 of them. I own 3 of the 4. I guess there's the mobile game version. I haven't played that, but I've watched some of the plot stuff. But that's also kind of
there's plot stuff. And I'll just branch off and go back. Technically, WB only considers it a trilogy. Like Origins does not qualify. They have not acknowledged that game at all.
But Arkham Knight itself, the game acknowledges it. You have items in the game that talk about it. You have references to it. So yeah, it's totally. I consider it part of the series, and so does Rocksteady. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the important part. But so that I feel like that one. I feel like it's set at least some bars for kind of those. I guess that would be an action adventure RPG. So that's one. Going old school with the next one, GoldenEye.
Shots fired.
I mean, story-wise, it's a redo of the GoldenEye movie, but that is one of those games where if you liked it, if you hated playing it, then it would never redeem itself. But if you liked playing it, whether solo or in a group, oh man, that was just hours and hours of fun. I mean, I have fond memories of being in college and just all hours of the night sitting around playing multiplayer on that, and of course always yelling no odd job and it'd be like, do we do Man with the Golden Gun, or do I can't even remember the name of the mode, but the one shot and you're dead mode.
Golden Gun.
There's Golden Gun. There was a mode, there's the Golden Gun, that would always kill you in one shot, but there was a game mode where if you got hit, it was 1 or 2 shots. Maybe it was you only live twice. I don't remember. It's been long enough since I've played it because it's only in 64. But no, yeah, that's less of expansive story or groundbreaking mechanics or anything like that. It's just I mean, it was a solid FPS. I think it maybe laid the groundwork for the idea that an FPS multiplayer could really be a party experience, which has kind of died off at this point because a lot of co-ops anymore or whatnot is more like split screen. It's 2 people instead of 4. Halo kind of carried that on, I would say.
Oh yeah, they did.
But yeah, no, GoldenEye that's just memories and fun, and I mean it's I could probably be halfway decent at it after 5 minutes of playing again. I would have to sit down and refamiliarize myself with the controls, but
still, it was always a great play though.
Oh yeah, it was always fun. I mean, you could make or break friendships on that game for the night, but I mean, it was a blast, and there's fond memories there, and it was fun playing through the single player. It had some fun stuff. I mean, granted, I used I think Game Shark or whatever, and so I would give myself like infinite ammo on every gun and stuff, and that was fun to just run around and blow everything up. But okay, so that's 2. Oh gosh, this is tough. Since it's just video games and we didn't specify console games, I will say Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
I've heard so many good things about that game.
Oh, it's fantastic. If you like real-time strategy, that is like the big disclaimer. And I am an RTS, a big RTS fan.
Okay.
If you like RTSs, it is a fantastic one. I think the original flavor is a little better than its expansion, Yuri's Revenge. You know, because it was 2 factions and it felt really well balanced, and you know the gameplay was solid. You know the campaigns eased you. You know it wasn't quite a tutorial, but it eased you in. You didn't have every option at the beginning, so you could learn and figure out how you liked to play. And the story was just so cheesy. I mean, it had a lot of like B and C list actors. Like the guy who plays Yuri he's one of those, it's that guy. Creepy European guy. You know, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life or whatever, but he's really good at just being a creepy European dude.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the power of acting and how sometimes actors are so good, I hate them. Not only do I hate their character, I begin to hate the person. We're going to talk about that later. Later.
Another, since I'm already on the topic of RTSs, another great one would be Warcraft 3. And I was actually talking about this a little bit with some friends yesterday. Warcraft 3, because just tons of fun. I mean, it was moddable, but really just the base game. Great story. Just tons of fun. Always fun to play it, over LAN parties or whatnot. I'm trying to think. I need to branch back off of RTSs. Gosh.
If you want to fill this up with RTSs, that's...
Well, I'm trying to... I feel like I've played... Oh, gosh, I've played so many games. I mean, not as many as you guys, and a lot of them are older. Not old school. I mean, I've played on an Atari, so I've been there. I've played back when there was only one button! One button! And you liked it!
That's fun.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's really tough for me, because I'm very picky with it. Oh, here we go. 5th game. It is an RTS. Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War. The first one. I haven't played the second one. It looks interesting, but I think I would prefer the first one more. That's because I'm not actually like a competitive RTS player. Like when I hear actions per second, I go cross-eyed. I like building lots of tanks. Tanks are fun and go boom. Or I like lots of men with guns. So I'm not a competitive RTSer, but I just like playing RTSs. I like the build. I'm a turtler. So if anyone is familiar with that term in games, or are you guys giving me the blank look of we know that?
I know it, but
I guess
for the sake of the podcast.
For the sake of the podcast, okay.
People
I'm new to podcasting, okay?
I think we all are.
But so turtler is basically you play very defensive. I've always thought of as turtler as you don't just keep your forces back. You build up a bunch of base defenses as much as the game will allow you. And some games like Dawn of War, you can't build like infinite turrets or whatever. You have a limit on how many turrets you can build. But you try, in that one you have to try to use the terrain a little bit and put them in the choke points. But it's basically you build your defenses up. If you can build walls, you build walls. If you can't build walls, you build more guns. And then you build a large army that's not necessarily the quickest and most agile, but will basically roll over anything and everything else, even and can absorb losses. That's kind of my play style. I have a couple of friends or one friend in particular who's pretty good at playing like almost the exact opposite play style. But I would say that's a favorite there as well. And that one I like its expansions, although I haven't played the third expansion.
Okay.
But I played the other 2.
Okay. So you're at 4 or you
That was 5.
That was 5.
So Arkham.
Okay.
Arkham, GoldenEye, Red Alert 2, Warcraft 3, Dawn of War.
All right. That's a pretty good list. I'll go next because Mookie here will take a lifetime.
No, and I'm actually trying to really boil down my list to get some variety in there.
Because I've given you time.
Yeah, and
you're welcome.
And no, I have the same problem with you. I can literally fill my list with all FPSs, all RPGs, and yeah.
I know, right?
And so I'm trying to pick the creme de la creme, and I'm trying to now in my head I'm actually trying to whittle it down to games that I've beaten. Because there's a lot of games that I love that I just never beaten.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to and I've
Skyrim. Well, I haven't beaten Skyrim.
Even the list of games that I've beaten is by some would be considered maniacal. It's long. It is a very long list of games, and it's just some that I'm just if I go down this path, it's a problem. So I'm trying to will it down in my head. So you go ahead, get in there.
Okay, so my first one would be Kingdom Hearts. The whole series we'll stick in one package, because it's obviously a continuation and growing story.
Hey, I did it with the Arkham games.
Yeah,
you're completely legit doing it with Kingdom Hearts.
Let's see. I recently picked up the Nathan Drake collection. I enjoyed it back then. I'm enjoying it now. I think it's a great playthrough, and I've had fun going back and really enjoying. I feel like sometimes these days they don't make too many games that, for the most part, have a satisfying one player playback, a playthrough or
a single player storyline.
Yeah, that you're willing to go back and just play through again,
New Game Plus, so are you talking about New Game Plus or just replayability factor?
Replayability factor.
And this isn't even counting in, you can make different decisions and it gives you a different story. You enjoy the gameplay and story combined so much you can play it again multiple times.
Okay. That I don't feel like I'm getting too old of it. Kingdom Hearts at the top of that list that's something for another day, which I've been saying we need to get this on another podcast, Kingdom Hearts stuff. We will.
Kingdom Hearts Special Edition.
Okay. So Kingdom Hearts, Nathan Drake. We can also go back to the N64.
Nathan Drake is Uncharted, right?
Oh, the Uncharted series. Sorry.
No, that's cool.
The Uncharted series, but they call it the Nathan Drake collection.
Right.
That's what's been drilled in my head, so I just say Nathan Drake.
Well, that's how I think it's been advertised the last few months. So that's cool. I just wanted to make sure I was clear, and maybe everyone else out there was clear.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, the messaging is the messaging, because now essentially Sony's kind of replaced the Last of Us bundle, which is kind of like the base model bundle. If you bought a PS4, it came with Last of Us. Mm-hmm. Now it just comes with the Nathan Drake collection. It's really a PS4 with the Nathan Drake collection. So I think it's a brilliant move on Sony's part.
That seems like a good value, because that's what
three games,
three
whole games,
and it comes with the base model. So $349, you get 3 games. That is a fantastic bundle. And I was reading something, Naughty Dog said 80% of PS4 owners never played, based on achievements and trophy. Okay, before I get massacred, trophies. Based on trophy allocation and going into the data streams and at all, 80% of PS4 owners never played any Uncharted game. Period. So that speaks to one of two things, and I'm gonna let you go back to your things. One, how many people switched over from the 360 generation to the PS4, and secondly, how many people on the PS3 just straight up slept on a great series. I didn't have a PS3, but I was over here playing it so much that I felt like I owned one. Or at least I watched you play it enough to have a
especially the second one.
Yeah, a strong understanding of what was going on in the series. I didn't play the third one at all, but I watched you play the entire game, so I know exactly everything that happened. Now, playing it is different because I have this weird. You guys already know I collect comics. I collect shoes and I collect collector's items. So in games, when there's a completion list, I'm just I'm gonna take 9 years to beat this game, and we could beat it in 10 hours because I have to check off those checklists. That's why I haven't beaten a lot of games, because I'm still going through that checklist.
I'm at the point where when I'm playing these games now, it's going to be a checklist completion. because now I've pretty much played through it. I played the second one the most because I just thoroughly enjoyed it. So I know that game really, really, really well. So, but for the most part, it's going back now and like just doing my best to run through it. Make sure I really understand it, and then go back and then try to complete it 100%, which will take me a while, but I will do it. By golly, I will do it.
By Jove, he'll do it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like with the Arkham games, they track your completion percentage. I haven't done 100% on any of them because a lot of it relies on
Riddler trophies.
The Riddler trophies, which have just gotten progressively more...
So close to 100% on Arkham Knight. It's killing me.
Arkham Knight, I think, is actually better about it. Like, I got really frustrated in, like, Arkham Origins because there'd be these puzzles, and I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm terrible at video games or something, but I just feel like they're frustrating for the sake of being... It's artificial difficulty in my mind. It's not, oh, this is fun, this is exciting. I'm hopping from 3 green circles and you're playing The Floor is Lava with like multi-million-dollar equipment.
I remember that game.
Mean, like, no, but seriously, like if those Riddler things where it's like you have to hop from one green button, circle, platform, whatever you want to call it, to another, you're basically playing The Floor is Lava. Because you have to either just jump directly from one to the other or use your zip lines and your grapnel and stuff. You can't touch just the ground. You can't touch any pillars anywhere else. You have to only touch your zip line or the things. You are playing The Floor is Lava as Batman. As much as I love Batman and I love playing Batman and being Batman, and these games have done the absolute best job of making me feel like I am Batman. And I have probably said, I'm Batman, more than once when playing them. I can't enjoy the Riddler challenges. And it frustrates me because I like to be a completionist, but I do all of the other side missions because those are fun because I feel like I'm being a detective. These, I just feel like I'm a trained monkey. I'm like, I'm not Animal Man. I'm not, the monkey character from Dexter's Laboratory who's, I think it was just Monkey or whatever. I'm Batman. Yeah. I shouldn't have to do this. I should just be able to track the Riddler down, bust the door down, and break his nose or something. Okay, that's a little rough. But, it just feels a little...
After some of those challenges in Arkham Knight, I think breaking those would be the least of concerns.
Okay, so this is just... I'm sorry, Goddard, this is distracting more, but Arkham Knight... That game was sold to us on the, you're going to get to play in the Batmobile. And I have such mixed feelings on that. I am
in that camp.
Yeah.
The design, mind blown. It is my new favorite Batmobile design. It has superseded the Tumbler, only slightly. They're both in the same category of, it's a big black tank as the descriptor. And yet it's got, I love that it's got the 2 modes. That's cool. I like the looks of the 2 modes. They've done a great job of somehow making them look completely different despite it being literally the same vehicle that is not literally a transformer, a car that becomes a robot, or a car that becomes a helicopter that becomes a robot, or some of the other crazy things we've seen from Transformers. And I like the combat missions. I'm just not great at the driving. Like, I don't know if I think I maybe would just be bad at driving games, but I have so much trouble with the stuff like chasing down the APC or chasing Firefly. It's just like, something about I feel like the handling is, I don't know, too sensitive. It doesn't have enough, I'm like, it feels like it doesn't have enough grip on the road. And I'm like, I'm literally driving something that's like the love child of an M1 Abrams, a Comanche helicopter, a Hummer, and like every supercar ever that has 4 giant wheels that are 2 wheels in one. And as soon as we apply any amount of acceleration to it, it handles like, a Honda Civic on a wet day.
That might be one of the best descriptions I've heard of that thing. Because I'm just like...
this mixed with this, and then it handles like a Honda Civic on a wet day?
Yeah, no, because like my thing is like, the way they talked about it is like everyone was like, "Oh man, Arkham City, we got to see the Batmobile, but we didn't get to drive it." And it was like, "I want to drive the Batmobile." And then it was coming out, and like the first thing they showed in like the trailer, I think 2 years before the game came out, you're gonna get to use the Batmobile. Everybody loses their mind. It's like, now you get to use Batmobile. It is gonna be a tool in your utility belt, and everybody was like, "Cool, we're gonna get to use it," and like, we're gonna get to use it to get through hard parts of the game. And this and that and that. Nope, that's not what the game is. That is a Bat Tank Simulator 2015. That is what that game is. It blows my mind at some of the fights they make you do in that tank, and
it's impractical.
It literally doesn't fit any sort of canon. Especially, and I kind of don't want to spoil this, but this is the one that
Give your spoiler warning.
I'm not even getting into spoilers, but there's a fight with Slade. Screw it, whatever. You're supposed to fight Slade, and like I've been waiting to beat the brakes off this man.
I haven't reached that myself, but I like saw the video and I'm like, what is that?
I've been waiting to beat the dirt out of Slade since the first game. I'm just like, you have been a pain in my entire existence, and I'm just gonna beat the brakes off of you. I'm just like, put the bridges up. He's not getting anywhere. He has a tank. I almost broke my controller. He has a what? What? Don't take this away from me, WB. Well, don't do this to me now.
Well, and it's like you got Arkham Origins where you're like, it's the third game produced, but chronologically it's the first game, and you got to beat the tar out of him. It was a somewhat repetitive fight, but you beat the tar out of him with your own two bat hands. You taught that man whose city this was. It's not his city, it's your city. You are Batman, this is your city. So it's like, and I'm a little different in that, okay, he has a tank. Slade does seem like the type who would totally bring a tank to a fist fight. Let's be fair here.
Yeah.
Slade Wilson would totally bring a tank to a fight. My problem isn't that he has a tank. It's that's all you do.
Yes, that's the problem.
If it would have been like,
it's a huge problem.
Been like a phase thing. It's like, okay, damage his tank. Okay, now it turns to a chase. Okay, you've blown up his tank. He escaped. He's now in the building. He has guards there. Okay, track down, take down his guards. Now you've cornered him. He has nowhere to go. He's pulled out his guns. Let's do this. I would have been like,
and you work your way through his arsenal just like you did in Origins. Like, first he has the guns. Okay, now he has no guns. Now he has a sword. Now he has no sword. And then he has his staff. Now he has no staff. Now we're just beating the tar of each other with fists. And then you win, yeah. Or even just skip even just a 2-stage fight, like tank fight and fist fight. Anything but, okay, he's done in the tank. That's it. We're done. Anything else would have been more satisfying.
Oh man, that
was very disappointing. Mad.
That was one of
actually
the
you were sitting next to me
potential.
when I found out, because I knew
about it prior, and I didn't want to say anything because I was just like, I don't want to spoil it for him like it happened to me. I was just like, I didn't want to like, because like that fight, the Slade fight is a I don't want to say quintessential fight, but it's such a crucial fight throughout the entire games, and they're just like, you robbed me of
what could potentially have been the best
part of the game. The best part of the game. And if they would have done it right, it could have been the best part of the game. And like my thing, and like we need to let you get back to your list because I'm about to get into my thing about it is like they was like, hey, DLC, you're gonna get to play as Catwoman, you're gonna play as Batgirl, you're gonna play as Nightwing, you get challenge missions. You know what it is? Somebody got kidnapped. Again, it's Gotham. People get kidnapped every 3 minutes. Like, it's like, ooh, 2 story missions.
Easy motivation, but
2 story missions and a fight, and that's it. And I'm like, this is not DLC. This is not how you do DLC. And I have a segment about DLC because
we talked about DLC. I think 2 weeks, two episodes ago.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, you were talking.
Yeah, and the CD Projekt Red and the way they handle it, they just released Hearts of Stone, aka Shots at Hearthstone from. Now it's not taking shots. It's kind of a play on words from Hearthstone, which is a Blizzard card game.
Right.
So if you buy the physical copy, it comes with Gwent cards, which Gwent is an amazing. Like they could make $1 billion off Gwent alone. So in The Witcher 3, there's a card game in the world called Gwent. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Everyone should play it. But if people became so obsessed with it, they're like, we want more Gwent cards to play real life. So they put Gwent cards in the deck, like real deck.
In the Hearthstone deck.
No, the DLC is called Hearts of Stone.
Hearts of Stone. Okay.
Yeah, so you can see the Heart Stone connection.
Oh yeah, okay. Hearts of Stone. Yeah, I think I saw a trailer or something.
Yeah,
and,
and again, the DLC is fantastic. Some people get it at 10 out of 10. This is how you do DLC, people. This is how you do DLC. Meaningful content. All that other horse armor, and sorry, Oblivion is always that example. Horse armor? No, come on. All that other horse armor stuff, give it to it at least at a bare minimum, or like package it into something. But don't make us pay for like 10 minutes of content. But we're off track. Let's get back to your list, and I'll get into mine.
Rent time soon.
Man, I might need a whole carpet just to ride about. Let me stop.
Okay, so I said review Kingdom Hearts, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. We'll go to N64. Ooh, and there were a few of them that I loved to play all the time. I mean, I can make a whole list of N64 games that were, for me, the greatest ever to play. But I will have to probably say Mario Kart.
Mario Kart 64 specifically?
Mario Kart 64, just because it was definitely a Kickstarter. But also that was the thing that, like for you, GoldenEye, it made or break friendships very easily. Very easily. And my friends growing up that I grew up with, we were all mad competitive about it too. I mean,
of course, that's the only way that would be fun, really.
That's
you're either competitive, or it's nothing but trash talk.
There was a lot of trash talk.
There's crossover, but even if you're not like super competitive, there has to really be fun, there has to at least be some real trash talk going on. I mean, yeah, it's fun in and of itself, but it's really fun if you interact with each other. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's fun, it's good replayability, but you don't play that game for the story. You don't play that game for the...
Oh, there was no story.
Yeah, there's no story. The story is everybody's riding go-karts, hooray, because it's Mario, and, I mean, they do everything else together, so...
Yeah. Man, they do everything together.
I mean, what sports have they... I guess they haven't done football yet, but, I mean, we've done tennis. We've done soccer.
Yeah.
Baseball. Have they done a basketball one? I don't think they've done... I guess they haven't done basketball.
I don't think so.
I don't think there's basketball. Maybe, like, there's a Mario Party game that's, like, Knockout or something. I don't know. We're on, like, the 30th Mario Party. But...
Which I think they'd be interesting. I think it'd be...
Basketball?
I think it'd be interesting. Basketball would be interesting. Or even,
I think it could work. I mean, if you can make soccer work, I mean, why not?
Yeah, so at that point, why not end up doing something like hockey would probably work even better. I could see, because if they were able to... Because Mario Super Strikers is probably one of the best, like, recent generation Mario games that isn't necessarily, like, that is not a Mario Party type game. In terms of, like, also for sports style play, because I mean there was Mario and Sonic, the Olympic Games, which it wasn't bad.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember that, so I'll have to take your word, which probably says something about the quality of the game, I guess.
It wasn't bad. So obviously that's all sports stuff, because
right.
What else are the Olympics for? But Mario Super Strikers was just so much better than the Olympic Games one that they attempted to do. Like I said, Olympic Games wasn't bad, but I think because also they made it like indoor soccer and rather than outdoor soccer, so the ball bounced off the walls to keep play going. Because if it was like outdoor soccer, the ball would go out every few seconds, and you're like, well, it changed the pacing of the game to the point that you wouldn't necessarily like it. So I think they could do the same thing with hockey. You just, put a rink around it, change the ball to a puck, give them sticks, keep the power-ups, you're good to go.
I'm pretty sure even in regular hockey, the puck is pretty much always in play unless there's, like a timeout.
Foul,
there's not like an out of bounds for the puck. I mean, I can't claim to be a hockey expert.
I'm not either.
But I remember I've sat at a couple of games and stuff, and the puck just goes unless somebody's like down bleeding or it's a break or a timeout or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't have out of bounds. So yeah, it would actually. I think you're right. It would be perfect for as a video game in general, but especially like more of a kid.
Not necessarily
I don't
kid-friendly.
mean. Well, no, I think if you're doing Mario, kid friendly is is correct, and it's good because, I mean, I think that kind of gets into the idea of the accessibility of video games. Not every video game needs to require you to be like the Master Blaster 360 no-scope sniper expert.
Yeah.
Which I hate that nonsense, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to pull out a ridiculous example, but I mean, you know, video games are supposed to A, be fun, and B, they're not all going to be rated M, so they have to be fun for kids. It's kind of like, you know,
It's nice that it's not only
any
kids that will
toy,
play
really.
it.
I would say this would broaden to like any toy, you know, be it action figures or Legos or Nerf blasters or anything. You know, kids should enjoy it too. The best product is something that people of all ages can enjoy when it comes to play items, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
I would extend it to movies and such too, but I think it's more applicable with things like video games. But yeah, I mean, I would say kidsy, you know, kidsy sports games.
For sure,
and
for sure.
in this case, that's not an insult. Kids, I think in my mind, kidsy could be an insult, but for like all the Mario games, it's not because they're so fun and they're kid friendly.
classic.
It's
They're
a
classics,
kid's
too.
game, you know, and it's fun because of that. If I'm not sure I can really picture a like grim and gritty Mario, and I know I wouldn't want to. I can't see Nintendo ever doing that. Thank goodness. But that would just not
They know
work.
they would probably destroy the party,
The franchise, the
yeah.
brand maybe
Yeah,
would be.
I guess now it's a brand. It's pretty much a brand.
Yeah, Mario is totally a brand, which is
Yeah.
fine. He's almost synonymous with the Nintendo brand. You know, I mean, if you hear "It's a me, a Mario," you know it's a Nintendo product. You know it's a Mario product. You know it's going to be fun. You know it's going to be kidsy. You know, I mean, you don't necessarily know anything beyond that because he's done so much. I mean, for a short, fat Italian guy, he sure gets around with the sports. I mean, he disproves the white men can't jump.
Yeah.
His brother does more, but
A fantastic movie, by the way. Like on the
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
White Man
but
Can't Jump.
What?
Fantastic.
I
Wesley Snipes and Wood Harris? Not Wood Harris.
No.
It starts with a H. I know his name starts with a H.
his first name or his last name. But
For some reason.
can't remember.
we have magical devices that connect to
You are
this
so right
this
about that.
magical thing out
We'll
there.
figure that out. I need to finish this list, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Man, no, it's making for good conversation. So okay, start again. Kingdom Hearts, Uncharted, then Mario Kart. So now that leaves it at 4, and I had the thought of FIFA. FIFA forever will always be on my list.
Okay. Just the FIFA series.
FIFA, yeah, whether it be
FIFA series.
15, 16, whatever, especially the newer ones that are especially on the next gen consoles. But I'm obviously a soccer person through and through, so I will always buy that game. That if there's one game on my list I will ever pre-order. If I was never to pre-order any other game, this would be the only one that I would ever pre-order, like without a doubt. It's always on my list every year, even if I don't decide to pre-order a game for that calendar year. FIFA is the only one. So that's at 4, and that 5th one, man, because there's so many games that I've enjoyed. I mean, I would put Skyrim on this list, but I don't think I've never actually completed Skyrim because I always keep getting stuck with a side mission. Like, ooh, let me do this. Then I forget about the main story.
I mean, I haven't finished playing Arkham Knight yet. I put the Arkham series on there. I mean, I think unless you're only 2 main missions into Skyrim, I mean, that game is so ginormous that I think, I mean, saying I really enjoy playing this, I mean, it's a big enough game, I think, at this point, if you've played double-digit, if not triple-digit hours on it.
Yeah.
I don't have, I mean, we're not under the man's rule here, so I feel like we're okay to,
Undercover brother. Have you seen that?
I have not.
You have
my
greatest movie about races fighting against each other.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious. And it's all the tropes. It's like
all the stereotypes are there.
All the tropes. And it's Eddie Griffin, so it's just hilarious.
And the man is obviously a white man in a suit.
Isn't
runs
it
a corporation?
Isn't it Austin Powers? The guy who plays Austin Powers.
Mike Myers.
I don't know if it's Mike Myers that actually. I think it might be Mike Myers
that is
the man. That is the man. It may be him, but it's so.
Mike Myers before he burned out.
But I mean that movie is so funny. You need to take a moment, sit down, and watch it because you will laugh.
My list of I need to watch this movie one of these days is rather large. I have a very esoteric list of things that I have seen, but the list of things that I haven't seen that I want to or ought to see is also equally esoteric and large.
Wait, did I give my last one? Did I give my last game?
Well, you said Skyrim. Are you putting that as 5?
I will put that as 5. Even though I haven't completed.
That's what I was saying.
And definitely done in double digits. I probably definitely did triple. Oh my goodness! The first time I ever played. Actually, let's back up a second. I never wanted to play this game to start. Okay.
You didn't want to play it?
I didn't want to play it. Like the whole like Dragon Age, Oblivion, Skyrim, the whole thought to me was a little weird, especially seeing some of the characters. I think when Caleb was playing Oblivion, I just kind of was like,
oh yeah. Okay, so we're playing Oblivion. It was the first time he came over and hung out one night. I was playing Oblivion. And I don't know what he was doing. He was on his computer, and he looked up, and a Khajiit just ran up on the screen. If you know, Khajiit are cat people, and like in Oblivion, the cat people, like the Khajiit, look especially creepy in Oblivion. They had like super bright yellow eyes, and the color scheme on the 360, and it was an early game, so it wasn't like the greatest color scheme. So like it's literally, I'm walking downtown, and the Khajiit literally just runs and goes, "Hey, you!" And God looks up and he goes, "Ugh! What is that?" So from that moment, I was like,
well, it doesn't help that their proportions are weird too. It's not just the color in the eyes. Anytime I've seen the picture of them, I'm like, and like once you get, it seems like at least with those video games, like they're good video games, but some of the character models for like the lizard people and the cat people, I don't remember what the lizard people are called. It's just like
those two were the worst.
Yeah.
So, but that put me off at first, and then all of a sudden, I just remember you had Skyrim. You already had Skyrim for some time. I think at least a couple months. So it was still relatively new, but you had it for a while.
It would have been winter break because it came out November 11th, 2011.
Something like that. If not, no longer than spring break, definitely. But by that, I think definitely by the summer, I had really, really got engrossed in it. But you're like, dude, just give it a try. So I started playing. I played for 6 hours straight. I don't even think I really talked to you in those 6 hours I was at your house. He's like, dude, it's time to go. I know. Just hang on. I'll still play.
I think we're actually coming back here.
Yeah, we were gonna come back here. Yeah. We're gonna come back to Fireplace, and you're just like, dude, can we go? Yeah, in a minute. Yeah.
I think I got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna go take a nap, and I took a 3-hour nap, and it was at that point where I woke up. I was like, all right, it's time to go.
I'm drawing the line. The line must be drawn here.
And then eventually, like, I played so much, like, I would go to his house just to play Skyrim, and he, like, for that, it wasn't even necessarily to see him. Yeah, see him was kind of it was there.
Oh, I guess you live here.
But it was to go play Skyrim. And then, I stopped for a while because I realized it was terrible. It was just one of those addictions.
You had a problem?
I had a problem. So I didn't necessarily buy it for quite a while. And then eventually I broke down and bought it for my PS3. And then my brothers were like, oh no, we got a problem. My brothers hated me for the first 3 months. So now I still love Skyrim. But it's at the point where it's in chunks. Because the moment I get back into it, I'm going to be playing for quite a while. So it's definitely in chunks. I won't play it for a few months, and then maybe for a solid week I'll play in like maybe 3-hour increments or something because I have to force myself to do that.
That seems like the sign of a good game to me. If you can put it down, pick it up, put it down, and you're not just playing the same 3 hours or whatever over again. That to me just seems like the sign of a good game.
Yeah. And the sign that it's even a better game is after 900 hours in, I'm still playing that 300 hours over on my 10th character, and it's still as fun, if not more fun, than the first time, because I'm delving deeper, going further into the lore. Like, I got to the point where I was literally reading books. I was reading the books, like the lore books in the game. There was a point where I think I read more lore books in Skyrim than I read actual academic books. If it was a book, I was running a mage, and mage typically it's like light armor, if armor at all. They usually wear robes, and there's like legendary. You find, if you want to, you can like find legendary robes pretty early on in the game. It deviates you so far from the main story, but you can find legendary robes pretty early on in the game. So like, I had an intelligence of like I think I just picked high elf, and it just like boosted my intelligence all the way. And so like my magic was stupid high. So I was kind of just like walking through and just burning everything. I was actually using lightning. Yeah, I was using lightning. So it was like kind of Emperor Palpatine, or if any Destiny fans out there.
Unlimited power!
Exactly. So if anyone plays Destiny, I was literally a storm caller warlock. I mean, because I would literally just summon lightning from the heavens, and I would just be like, die. Everybody die. So I had so much fun with that. So going into my list, Skyrim is at the top of the list. Skyrim is number one. Skyrim.
That was a perfect segue there.
Yeah, Skyrim and then Dragon Age. Those two are the top of the list. I kind of don't. I'm trying to get other games in there, but I am such an RPG head that I don't know if I can deviate from what I know so well. So like it's Skyrim, Dragon Age, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Yeah.
Such a good.
I could have put that on the list.
And like more specific, to be more specific, Skyrim, Dragon Age 1, Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
The series, I could probably get tattoos of all those series. I love them that much. I actually just picked up Dragon Age Inquisition. My buddy Ethan just texted me, hey, Dragon Age Inquisition God of the Year edition's out. I've had it for like 3 weeks. I've had it for 3 weeks. I've been playing it on my PlayStation. It's actually been on the back burner on my PlayStation because I picked up Wasteland 2, which we'll talk about in a gaming segment later. So, Skyrim, Dragon Age 1, Mass Effect 2.
So is that because of the story, the gameplay, kind of the balance of the two?
It's, for these three in specific, it's
I was
the
specifically
balance.
asking about Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 2 is 100% about the balance. The story is great. It's probably the best story out of the three. Some people might argue for one, because Mass Effect does this wonderful thing where if you invest enough in a particular, well, there's a good path and a bad path, and in Mass Effect 1, so it gets to the point where you can get to the end, and if you haven't beat Mass Effect 1, I'm sorry, there's no spoiler warning for this. You can literally talk the guy into shooting himself. Yeah, you get to the end.
Yeah.
You're supposed to expect this big fight. You have a long conversation. He was like, "You're right." Pulls out a gun, offs himself. You never have to fight the end guy. Granted,
I'm pretty sure you still had to fight his reanimated corpse.
Yeah, you have to fight his reanimated corpse.
Yeah, you're right.
But you never have to like you
skip
have to skip
like a half to 2/3 of the fight.
Yeah, and which is like to me fantastic, and that's why for that reason, I know it's a newer game, and I have to put the caveat that I haven't played the other two. But The Witcher 3, so fantastic. Fantastic game. It is one of those games that I was hyped for, especially because it came to consoles. I mean, Witcher 2 came out on Xbox 360, but I was so into Skyrim that I was
You slept on it.
I knew everything. I knew how fantastic the series was. I'd been following its trajectory on PC. It came to 360. I was like, I'm going to pick it up. Skyrim
happened.
I'm gonna pick it up. Pick it up. Mass Effect. I'm gonna pick it up. Ooh, I still have Red Dead Redemption. Went back and played through that again. And I kind of had this thing on the 360 where I was like, buy a new game, play through it, go back and play Skyrim. Buy a new game, play through it, go back and play Dragon Age. And I remember this specific point. I was like, I graduated early, and so there was 6 months where I wasn't in school. So I played through every single Dragon Age game. I played through 1, 2. At the time, I guess 3. Well, no. I played through all of 1 and then through all of 2. And then I went through, played Oblivion, and I played through all of Skyrim. And then I went back again and played Mass Effect 1 through 3.
And it was like one of those playthroughs where I started with one character and I followed that one character all the way through the end.
With Mass Effect, you
With
mean?
Mass Effect,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So I created Shepard at, I think it was like, I can't remember what I called him, but it was a Vanguard. And I started from Mass Effect 1 and I carried him all the way through Mass Effect 3. So that was a good 2 months out of the 6 that I was in school. But The Witcher just does this great job of throwing you in the middle, not even the mid, at the close. What could be, keyword could be, the end of a fantastic series without any prior knowledge, but giving you enough ammunition to say, hey, look, if you want to find out more, you can. If you have this prior knowledge, it's so much sweet, such a sweet payoff is what I've heard. I know a couple girls who, I had this one friend, she played literally 1,000 hours of both games, Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 before Witcher 3 came out. So she just knows everything about the game. And I made one decision and she almost strangled me in public. She was like, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Do you not know how evil she... I was like, I don't know who this woman is. It's Geralt. Geralt is kind of the James Bond of his era. Gets all the ladies. Apparently I picked the wrong one. I don't know. I'm sorry. I apologize, Lisa. Lisa, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. I picked the one. She was cute. I'm sorry. Apparently I made the wrong decision. But The Witcher...
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were definitely made. But it's such a... It's and, like, my favorite part of The Witcher isn't even, like, the story. It is an amazing story, but it's, like, the little things in the world. There's a card game in there called Gwent, and I've been alluding to this. Gwent is a card game completely just made up. They made up a card game, and they stuck it in there. You have to play one match. If you don't care, you never have to touch that game again. The first 100 hours I played in that game were playing Gwent. I didn't care about story. I didn't care about monster hunting. I was playing Gwent. I collected all the cards, and now the expansion's out. There's even more cards. It's a problem. Gwent is so good. So good. Like, there's this entire community that just kind of erupted day one. Like, this Gwent card game is really good. And by, like, the first month, people were clamoring for more Gwent content. So much so that they actually put out part of their 16 free DLC packs was just more Gwent cards. Like, hey, you, calm down. Here's more Gwent missions. Here's more Gwent cards. Go play. There's like a petition going around that, hey, can you, like, start a Gwent league? Can you, like, make online multiplayer so we can play Gwent against each other? So that's...
So what you're saying is if they ever make actual, like, physical Gwent cards...
They have physical Gwent cards. I have them.
He has.
I bought here.
I was about to say that would be like printing money. So they have printed money.
They have a license to print gold at this point. Not just money. They could just bathe in showers of gold. Just... The Gwent cards, just so... I mean, I have them. I bought the collector's edition, which is like $150 without batting an eye. Because I was like, it comes with real Gwent cards? Give it to me. Now, immediately. Like, before I even knew who Gwent was, I was like, it comes with real cards? I'm going to buy it. Best decision I've ever made. Now I'm on the hunt for the DLC, which you can only get the physical editions at certain GameStops in the country. And they come with the Gwent cards in them, so I've been hunting. I go to work, and when there's a slow hour, I'm literally searching every GameStop in the country, like, okay, which one has them, which one is closer, which
There's
one
probably a black market among GameStop employees somewhere.
Probably somewhere. I think it's officially, like, there was an issue, like, GameStop put out an apology, it's some logistics issue, so it's only available online now, so I'm gonna slide through, holler at my boss, make sure I get my physical copy. But that's great. So now I'm put in a tough position to put my 5th game, and the list is just too good. I could put anything from Fallout 3 in there to Red Dead Redemption, not to mention Grand Theft Auto 5.
I enjoyed LA Noire.
LA Noire is pretty good. I can't put that in my top 5, top 10 maybe. But we're talking
There's
Max
definitely
Payne.
a true detective game, I felt like.
There's so many. I feel like 5 is... it's such a hard one for me to choose because I love Red Dead Redemption.
That game was so good.
Loved Red Dead Redemption.
Have you ever played Red Dead Redemption?
I own it. I played a little bit of it, and then I picked some other stuff up, and I haven't really had the chance to sit down and play through more of it. And it was one of those things where at the time the only TV I had was not high def. It wasn't a flat screen or anything, and it was really hard to read like the little tooltips. And I mean What I played of it was an amazing game. I liked the mechanics I was given, but I was having a little trouble
seeing things.
Yeah, I was having. I mean, I'm already half blind, even with sometimes even with my glasses. So having something that felt like I was not wearing my glasses, except I was, and trying to read it on the screen, it didn't really help me, but I still have the game because I still want to sit down and play through it and beat it at some point. I have a couple games like that where I've played through some of it, and then I had something else come along that was shinier, and I haven't sat down and devoted the tons and tons. Well, I mean, so Mass Effect, I've got all three of those games. I played through all the Mass Effect games, and I've got a few other games, like all of my Batman games.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've played through all of those. Nobody who knows me in any capacity, is probably shocked that I forsook playing another game to play a Batman game. But no, yeah, Red Dead Redemption, I liked it. I still want to get a hold of the DLC for it.
Yeah,
the expansion, what was it called? A Night of the Undead? No, not
Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, Undead Nightmare.
Undead Nightmare, yeah. I mean, if for no other reason than because it's like, oh, hey, not only do you get to collect horses, you get to collect the horses of the apocalypse. And I'm like, that in and of itself was cool, let alone the fact that you're running around killing zombies.
Yeah, trying to find, what is it, the unicorn?
Yeah, the unicorn is a pretty difficult one to find.
Oh,
and
I saw it once.
Yeah, then there's sometimes
Literally
there's
a unicorn.
there's
Yeah, no, I'm taking you straight at your word.
there's literally things in the game that you'll never know, and that's why I like Rockstar. So I think, and it's such a hard decision between Oblivion, which is, in my opinion, a better storyline than Skyrim, and some of I enjoy the progression based system of the side quests. So if you wanted to join the Fighters League, you started off as a mere recruit and you had to play a certain amount of story quests. You got a big quest and then you bumped it to the next level. And there was a progression system. Skyrim forsook that in the sake of a arguably more fleshed out storyline and more background based system. So where you joined the guild, you played through their quest line, now you're the leader of so said guild. It's in every single one. So if you played a jack of all trades, you could literally be the head of the Magic Guild, the leader of the Thieves Guild, and the matriarch or patriarch or of the undead or the Brotherhood. What are they called again? I think they're really called the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, so if you played a jack of all trades, you could literally be the head of all the divisions in the game. I usually just kind of forsook that for alt characters. I had my main character who... I actually never beat the game on my main. I beat it on all my alts, but never on my main. But I was okay, so I want to go into archery, so I'd make a wood elf. And I really wanted to do sneaking, so I made a Khajiit. And they were kind of a fantastic character because instead of when they did unarmed combat, they actually in the game and this shows you how well fleshed out the game was thought out. They had claws, so you can actually
specifically the Khajiit did.
Yeah, the Khajiit had claws. But anyway, back to the way Oblivion was set up. You would just play through, and if you wanted to, the deeper you delve in, the more rewarding it was. So it's hard for me to not put Oblivion in the 5th spot. I'm just gonna have to give it GTA 5. I just have to put GTA 5 on that list.
Okay.
Regardless of how I feel, the game is as close to perfect as you can think. It's. I was so concerned about having to play 3 different characters in one storyline. I was concerned I don't know how they're gonna meld. I don't know is it gonna be confusing? Mid mission, all of a sudden I'm playing somebody else. I want to play as this one character the entire time. Is it going to be disconjointed? How if I really really hate this character and I'm forced to play it, I'm going to hate this game. And the way they balanced it out was masterful. That is wizardry with words. Whoever wrote this the
witchcraft.
Yeah, whoever wrote the script for that game, master of words. The way everything just works and just ends. I'm just I don't even want to play this story yet. There's some people who've played it multiple times, get that. It's one of those games that I'm just that was perfect. I don't want to play the story again. Give me online mode. All right, online mode's here. I'll mess around and blow tanks up and do everything. The way it ended, I was that's all I needed. And for that sake, I have to give honorable mention to Last of Us. It was so hard not putting that in my list. So hard not putting it in the list.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Last of Us is probably one of the greatest PlayStation games, if not one of the greatest games of all time. so fantastic. I mean, the story between Joel and Ellie. If I start talking, I'm gonna go into a diatribe about how that game has like biblical themes and theological things here and there. But last honorable mention, The Last of Us. That game is just fantastic.
Clearly, what we should do is put our top 10 on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
That way we can expand it a little bit, because we could probably spend 3 nights talking out a top 10 on this podcast, but just writing out the list itself on there, and then
actually a good idea.
Maybe let people comment or say that you're wrong or whatever. Because it's the internet, inevitably somebody will tell us we're wrong about something.
That's right.
But yeah, so that way we can have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I like cake.
Cake is delicious.
Who
Have you ever had African cake, John?
I'm going to say no because I didn't realize there was a difference.
Yeah, okay, so the first time I came to America and I had cake, I was like, this is rubbish. What is this nonsense?
You must not have had very good cake.
You would think so. No, so like African cake is like inherently just, it's different. You would think you make cake regularly the same way. And I think it's the same like start off process, but like it's more doughy, more bread. I don't know how to describe it.
A little denser, a little thicker.
Yeah, because like the first time I ate cake, I was like, it's
yeah.
fluffy. I was like, this is rubbish. This is trash. You people don't know how to make cake. This is uncooked. I think I went to my mom. I was like, Mom, these people didn't cook that. They didn't cook the cake. They didn't finish baking the cake. This lady doesn't know what she's doing.
What about your first meal in America? I think it was chili.
Yeah.
That was.
My dad was like, it was like first week in Kansas. My dad went to a guest house.
Oh, man.
And it was like 6:00. And we just finished eating chili. And they were taking all the plates away. And they started like, who wants dessert? I was like, dessert? You mean the bean soup was the food? I thought that was the appetizer. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, you people eat at 6? Like, I start eating at 9. You people are eating at 6. I'm already hungry. You guys talking about dessert? Where's my food? Chili was just such... I was like, how is this... you Americans are weird. How is this food? This is bean soup. What are you doing with your life?
That was literally what I had for lunch today.
Yeah, I mean,
chili.
now I'm a fan of chili. I get chili. I kind of get like a double proportion because I got like soup goes through me like water. So I'll get chili. If I can get like extra meat in there, I will. And I get like...
Well, add crackers,
That's exactly
or
what I was
have
gonna-
cornbread added in. That thickens it.
That's what I was...
Or Fritos added in.
I hate Fritos, but crackers, it has to be, and like I'm very specific, it has to be good old-fashioned saltine crackers. Because I would literally just take a whole stack, break them down, put them in the bread, and then that's just like...
Ritz would be an emergency substitute.
Oh, man.
For the saltines, but yeah, saltines,
like a real
saltines,
emergency.
and then some cornbread. Now there's what we generally think of as chili here, like in the Kansas City area, probably. So it's like the heavy, like lots of beans, lots of hamburger. At least to me, that's the right way to do it. For that style chili, there's also I think it's Cincinnati style chili. I was talking about this earlier. It's thinner, and you eat it over like spaghetti. And I had it once, and like when it was being served to me by some friends, I was like, I know I kind of gave that, are you sure about this face? And then I had it, and it was good. It didn't replace the chili that I knew and loved, but it was different and in a good way.
Okay.
So, but no, yeah, chili. And we're getting into chili season. Like,
Yeah, you're right. It is.
I mean, this
No
is
pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. I mean, at my work they had a chili contest like 3 or 4 months ago or something, which was, hey, free chili. That was awesome. But like really to me, just my family's general habits mean that I associate this time of year with eating. That would be one of the dishes we eat because it's cold outside and chili is served warm and warms you up inside, and as I still like to say sometimes, it makes your tummy happy. So you do kind of want to take a nap afterwards. But yeah, that's so funny though. Where's the meal? I thought that was the meal, Caleb. That was the food.
I was so offended though. Like, this is not food. You people did not feed me. I was so upset. I went home immediately, just like, and it was on Sunday too. And so if you're African, but especially if you're Nigerian, Sunday isn't Sunday without rice and chicken. It doesn't qualify. Sunday has not ended or started until you've had rice and chicken. You may have had meals, fufu, whatever, egusi, eba, pounded yam.
Egusi stew.
All of that stuff is cool, but it's not Sunday until you eat rice and chicken. It doesn't. Regardless. So I immediately went home. I was ticked off. I had to stick that leftover cake because I had like 9 pieces of cake to make up for that chili. I was upset. But I went
You were
home.
probably also on a sugar high.
I immediately went home. Was like rice and chicken, chow down. It was still summertime, so I was allowed to be up all night or whatever. So I was like, it was like the first time I discovered Adult Swim, and I was like, this is weird. I'm gonna go play video games now. So, but yeah. So look for the Facebook group.
Even More About Nothing podcast is the name of the group. For those of you who are not a part of it or liked it yet, go do so. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about episodes as they go through, and we've created it so it can be a forum that the fans or those who are regular listeners can communicate with each other. We'd like to hear your thoughts, ideas, just different stuff. What you guys enjoy, what you guys do. We do look at those pages. So please do so. Please do so.
Become an E-Man fan.
An E-Man fan. I like that.
Okay. So I pushed this off from last week because you would be here.
This is either really good or really bad.
It is really good because obviously it is in our realm of things, which you and I are huge Batman fans. Now,
I think that would be an accurate statement.
yes. So, with that being said, we've got two things here, but this is what I want to talk about first because to me it is probably the greatest story of all time for Batman that is ever written, and that is the Killing Joke.
Yes.
Okay? With the Killing Joke, news came out at New York Comic Con, which was last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Sure, let's go with that.
It was recently, recently.
I didn't go, but it happened.
Yeah, I didn't go either. I wish I did. That is on my list of places to go.
The bucket list, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
Preferably well before the bucket, but yeah. Anyway.
So they released the announcement that The Killing Joke got approved as an R-rated movie. Now, my question here is, does it need to be an R-rated movie to be able to do it justice? Do they have to go down that route, or can they do without?
Yes.
First off,
yes.
I believe at least what I read was not that they said, oh, it's going to be R. It was they were approved if they decided it would be if the content ended up being R. They could do that. They had no restrictions. No, the man didn't tell them you can't make this more than PG-13. They were allowed to make it whatever rating they wanted, and so they have creative freedom.
In my opinion, The Killing Joke, it would be a disservice to tone down The Killing Joke because that it's in the title. I mean, it's a very sadistic title, The Killing Joke. To assume that killing is a joke or you make a joke out of killing, the double entendre there. I don't know if people. I'm sure us comic book nerds have done that many times in the discussion. I understand some people hate the comic. I have a lot of female friends in the comic community who despise that comic book specifically because of what's done to Barbara Gordon. And if you haven't stopped listening at this point, we're going in. So spoiler warnings at all. We're gonna go all out.
Spoiler warning for the night at this point. I think would probably be applicable.
Safe. Yeah. That is probably one of my favorite Batman comics of all time. And for all you people who said Batman hasn't killed anybody before, read it again. Because he definitely kills the Joker at the end. And it was like, oh no, he snaps his neck. It was out of, we're talking about the
killing out of
frustration,
necessity. Heroes kill because they have to. When it comes down to it.
Okay, and I want to say this is less out of necessity, and this is more like why. This is the reason I like Batman. It is an emotional battle because you can see how frustrated he is, and this is what makes Joker the quintessential Batman villain, and it's why I feel like they have
sort of the anti-Batman.
The anti-Batman. He is like
sure.
he knows Batman's every move. He knows the things that pushes his buttons, and he does the one thing that Batman doesn't want to do. Pushes him in a position to say, "Now I've hurt the people you love. What are you gonna do now?" And he knows Batman. He's like, Batman's gonna have to do one two things: lock me up forever or kill me. And Batman makes the ultimate decision, and he kills him. And he straight up snaps his neck. He starts walking out. You hear Joker laughing, and all of a sudden the laugh stops. He closes the door. End of comic. If that is not one of the best endings to a comic book ever, I feel like you do not deserve to talk about comics if you don't think that is at least in the top 5 endings of comic books ever. Yeah. That is such. I mean, and it is such an emotional weight on everyone. Like
that whole storyline is.
Oh yeah.
Looping back a little bit, you were mentioning that a lot of people, you said girls, but probably guys and gals dislike what they did to Barbara Gordon. And while I can understand it because comics have a bad history of fridging women, and in fact, I think maybe they weren't the originator of that idea, but I know it was a very infamous thing back in the, what was it? Was it the late 90s when they debuted Kyle Rayner, best Green Lantern? Kyle Rayner came out, and within 10 issues or something, I'm terrible at issue numbers. I read this as the trade paperback, but he comes home, he's still like the Green Lantern, he's brand new, he's like, a weird blue spaceman gave me a magic ring, and this is kind of awesome and weird and scary. And he comes home and opens his refrigerator, and his girlfriend, who we had met just like 2 issues before or something, is dead and stuffed in there by this other character. So in that case, that character's entire purpose was to be introduced and then be killed solely to provide emotional trauma and weight and motivation and so on for her boyfriend, for the male character. Mm-hmm. And we could probably make a 3-hour podcast talking about fridging and fan service and all these things in the comics industry. The thing in my mind that separates Killing Joke, and more specifically the paralyzing, crippling, what have you, of Barbara Gordon from things like Kyle Rayner's girlfriend being stuffed into a fridge, is that Barbara Gordon continued to be a character in general in the comics after that point, but more specifically, Barbara Gordon owned her paralysis. She took that and she worked through it. She didn't say, "I love being paralyzed," but she didn't mope about it,
which was great.
A decade. We had a decade of her as Oracle.
Cool. Yes, so a very long time.
She couldn't run around. Okay, so she couldn't run around and kick bad guy butt anymore. Although there were a few instances where people tried to jump her, she beat them up anyway, etc. But mostly she was support. But she wasn't just support for Batman. She was support for the entire Justice League.
She even started up her own group, which was the Birds of Prey.
Yes.
She
managed that, and she fed them information. And she had this whole thing, and it was everybody turned to Oracle.
Yeah.
And
even had her own headlining comic too.
And she couldn't, and in some ways, she could not have been Oracle if she hadn't been paralyzed. I was going to Jesus juke that one. I'm not going to Jesus juke that one. But it is legitimately a good turn in the comic because the character changes and evolves.
Yeah.
And is in many ways stronger for it.
I think the fandom would have backlashed if they fridged the character like they always do.
If they had just killed her, that would have been cheap. Or if they had paralyzed her at that point, and pushed her out.
I don't think it was like.
The killing itself might have still been good, but moving beyond that, it would.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it would have been as big an issue because here's the thing. It's kind of like we're looking at it in hindsight, like, oh, we know Oracle now. Oh, people have reacted. We're thinking about it. Oh, people have reacted based on the way we know Oracle now. Back then, I don't think. Granted, the reaction was visceral, and I think it was. I think
one of the boldest moves. I think I definitely by that time one of the boldest moves
was
ever done.
Was that before Death in the Family?
Yes.
I mean, those were pretty close together, but I think that
they are very close together.
Before Death in the Family.
okay, so it's before Death in the Family.
I believe so.
We're gonna check, but it's either right before or right after. So it was kind of overall that period gave Batman a 1-2 punch to the gut, which I would say that's maybe the proof against the Joker being killed in The Killing Joke, or at least they retconned it, unless at that point they were deciding to just go with the idea that the Joker is not in fact one person, but it's some sort of mimetic virus.
It's okay. It's kind of,
Gotham.
and that's the thing. Like Batman, and that's the thing. I feel it's like kind of both. Batman and the Joker are mutually exclusive. You can't have Batman without Joker. You can't have the Joker without Batman. Granted, we've had alternate universes where they don't exist within each other, and Batman's a bad guy, Joker's a good guy. If you don't already know this, I'm sorry, but there's a Batman universe where Bruce dies, Thomas is Batman,
gosh,
and his mother is the Joker.
Which is
And when they wrapped that story up, it was just like, I haven't read the whole thing, but I remember reading like those pages where Thomas Wayne Batman, who's like way more hardcore than Bruce, and which I think works really well in that storyline. I would not like that Thomas Wayne Batman as Batman all the time, but within the universe worked well. But Thomas Wayne was preparing to help Barry Allen and some other dudes basically reverse everything that happened and get Barry Allen back to the past so he can change the past. So, yay, time travel and system reboot, whatever. That's all a whole thing. But I remember the like 2 or 3 pages where Thomas is talking with Joker Martha, who is like such a creepy look because she like just straight up like slashed her mouth open or something, and so she's got like an even grosser version of, I think it's called a Chelsea grin or something like that, Chelsea smile, whatever it is that the Dark Knight Heath Ledger Batman had, because his was like all sewed shut. Hers had like 2 small sewed shut points and otherwise was open. It like every time I see the picture, it's just but they're standing there talking because of course they're a married couple, so as much as they're mortal foes, they're also married. So I'm sure there's plenty of fan fiction writers out there who just ran wild with that. We won't talk about that either. But I remember he was talking, he's talking, he like talks through, a family goes into an alley and she's saying stop, and he says 2 shots fired, bang, bang, stop. And he basically talks through this scenario and then surprises her with the idea that instead of Bruce dying, they die. But the like 9 panels that got me, where he says, she's like, so you promise that if we fix this, Bruce lives even if we die? He says, yes. And she says, what happens to him? Does he grow up or something like that? And he says, he does. And she's like, well, what does he do? And Thomas says, he becomes his father's son. And you can see he's a little sad about when he says it. And she's like, and she kind of hopefully says, he becomes a doctor? And no words, and it's like half silhouetted. You just see Thomas Wayne Batman's shoulders slump and his head sink down. And then Martha just says, oh my, or oh dear, something like, and it was just, she knew instantly that he meant, no, he becomes a, fearsome creature of the night who hunts criminals who are superstitious and cowardly lot. And it was just, I think that may have been one of the most powerful pages of comics I've seen produced in the last several years. Just something about it, it was almost a gut punch. It was just amazing to me. And I'm like, this is like a side story, and it's kind of going away, except now I think that universe still exists or something. I don't know. Well, DC is confusing these days.
They've acknowledged that it's still a thing. I don't know if they've like.
I guess there's multiverse.
Yeah, I don't know if they've acknowledged it in print yet, but I know they've acknowledged it in like others.
Yeah,
or it's been mentioned.
Just to give you the information, Killing Joke was done in 1988.
Okay.
Both of them were in 1988. The Killing Joke was March. Death in the Family is December.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I was right. That was a real 1-2 punch for Batman. I know that by the end of Death in the Family, Batman was like, he was like attitude that I'm going to kill the Joker. I'm going to kill the Joker. And everybody was worried. I think they stopped him in the comics, A, because it was like that's his one rule, and B, they were probably worried that he would straight up legit go kill somebody or kill everybody else because he would snap. Because that's, to me, see, I get where you guys are coming from about, superheroes don't absolutely never kill. But for me, it should always be something that's incredibly rare. Like with Superman, barring Elseworlds or alternate universes or whatever, I can think of there's like 2 incidents that stand out where he straight up uses and succeeds in using lethal force. And one of them was this one story that had like 3 Kryptonians on like an alternate world, and they'd killed half the planet or something. I don't remember exactly, but he basically kryptonited them to death. I just verbed kryptonite. I'm allowed. I'm a comic geek. And then the other one is when he fought Doomsday, which killed him.
Yeah.
Batman, I mean, putting aside the like first dozen or 2 issues where he's running around with a handgun, because, characters evolve. Like, I get so annoyed when people are like, well, Batman used a gun once. I'm like, okay, yeah. And at one point, he made propaganda comics that I'm pretty sure included some racist slogans. We probably don't want to go down that path. Let's look at the overarching presentation of the character, which for me, Batman has the strongest no-kill rule because for him, it is the reason he is Batman. Yeah, it's Batman.
It's literally the reason he's Batman.
Yeah. Batman believes that he's, anytime he's presented as a character who doesn't have hope, I think the author has missed it. Batman is fundamentally about hope. It's the hope that he can make a difference and no other child ever has to have their parents shot in an alley. And then there's the hope that all of these absolutely insane villains that he keeps stopping can actually be cured. Now, we can make the argument that the justice system of Gotham and the state and the United States are super flawed because the Joker should by all rights totally have gone to the chair or the chamber or
multiple times.
Multiple times. That's not how the insanity defense works. There are other villains you can make the insanity defense for. The Joker is not one of them. That's not how it works, but this is also a universe where a man dressing up as a man-bat hybrid actually is an effective crime fighter, so I think there's allowances that we can make in some ways. I always hold to the opinion that if you're like, oh, Joker should be dead, okay, fine. That's the job of Gordon or the justice system in general. The whole point is that Gotham is so corrupt that guys like the Joker keep breaking out. There's probably a fancy term for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but that's basically one of the basic assumptions you have to make about the Batman universe.
That's true. Just real quick, and also, I know we were talking. This popped in my head really, really quick. Speaking of Death of the Family, isn't that what Bad Blood?
2 different ones. Death in the Family and Death of the Family. 2 different things. Death of the Family.
I was talking about Death in the Family.
Yeah, Death in the Family and Death of the Family.
That was done in Batman Enter the Red Hood. That's because Death in the Family is Jason Todd getting killed by Joker. So they did that in Enter the Red Hood. It was done in flashback. But
the Family, is that supposed to be Bad Blood?
No, Death of the Family was the one they did last year or something.
Yeah,
it was just jacked up stuff.
It was the one where the chick finds Joker's face and
Joker cut his own face off and then stapled it back on, and it was honestly kind of stupid. And he he actually knew who Bruce was the whole time, and he went through and almost killed almost everybody in Batman's family in one way or another. He almost killed Alfred, and he almost killed Jason Todd with acid in his mask, and there's all kind I haven't picked it up or anything.
I have Death of the Family, and I've read through it once, and it's hard for me to go back to it.
Everything I've seen of it, I was like, I'm not super impressed by this because it felt like it was push. I feel like in recent years the Joker has just become. He kills people and he laughs while he does it. There's no dramatic flair, and that to me is a crucial aspect of the Joker. And Killing Joke, half of that thing is just his presentation and his dramatic flair. It's brutal. It's sadistic. It's not the 60s Batman, show or the 50s and 60s comics where it's all zany antics or whatever, which I think those have their own place. But by the same token, Killing Joke, there's still it's something that only the Joker would do.
Yeah, and I feel like the last true representation of that we've had was Heath Ledger.
Heath
at least
on screen. He was a grimmer.
On screen. Oh, yeah, on screen.
Yeah, he was grimmer, but he still had a flair.
The whole like piling up
he,
the money, setting it on fire. Some men want
the pencil trick.
The pencil trick, and then quintessential. I don't say quintessential, but like the classic Alfred. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Right, and it fit within the overall tone that Nolan set for those films. It's not necessarily the same as the Joker in other presentations. You know, it's certainly not Hamill's Joker, but it's still an amazing performance. And I think I don't want to try to rank either one of those against each other because they're different enough that I don't think they can be. They're different enough in good ways that I don't think they can be compared.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, you know, I mean, I will rank, you know, Christian Bale and Kevin Conroy performances with Kevin Conroy just barely beating out Bale, but it's a close thing for me. I'm a bit of a
Batman for life for me.
Oh yeah,
for life.
But Christian Bale, I loved him as the live action Batman. He is the only one who, for me, has brought Batman to life. Live action, the best. Yeah,
I can agree with
by
that.
like leagues and leagues and leagues. So
although that raspy Batman voice needs to go.
Well,
I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean his voice. As much as I have fun making the voice, sometimes the voice had some flaws, but his physicality and just the attitude he brought to it. I mean, and you read things like what he was talking about in the first movie. He was like the costume head gave him. It was hot, dark, sweaty, and it gave him a headache, which. Apparently the costume crew like made T-shirts that said that on it, but he was like, I just used it. It made me angry, and so it made me more angry as Batman, and I channeled it. I mean, that's the kind like that was why I enjoyed him so much. He's always been an actor who like maybe unhealthily throws himself into the role. He will lose weight, gain weight, etc. for roles. Like I don't know if either of you, I've not seen it, but I've seen pictures of it. He was in a movie called The Machinist. He went down to like 100. Less than 120 pounds. Like he is skin and bones, and that was the very next movie he did was Batman Begins.
Whew.
Yeah, so he just packed on. I mean, you read about the weight difference, and it's like that can't have been that healthy. But he's probably stinking rich at this point and has like the best doctors ever, so it doesn't really matter that much. But one of his more recent films. What was the one? Oh gosh, it had like him and Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams.
I know exactly what you're thinking about. I can't think of the name. I can see it, but
one. Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
I can see it, but I can't think of the name.
I'm pretty sure it's the one that made Jennifer Lawrence put out that essay about how she was making less money than male actors because she didn't negotiate strong enough and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting essay. Go look it up. Jennifer Lawrence talking about pay differences for actors and actresses. But yeah, like he actually packed on a gut for that movie. Like he actually gained that weight. That wasn't like a fat suit. He actually got himself like, I guess that'd be like a beer belly or something. So that's his like thing is he like gets himself into the best, like the closest physical shape possible for the character. But he just, for me, he was just leagues better as Batman than any of the other guys who have done live action.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
My next ranking would be Keaton, and he is way, way lower. Like, I used to say Keaton was the best Batman, Clooney was the best Bruce Wayne, and Kilmer was kind of in between. But at this point, all three of them have been blown away in both categories by Christian Bale. Now, and again,
I don't like his Bruce Wayne. I'm gonna be particularly honest.
You're allowed to be wrong.
I don't like his Bruce. The one scene that I think epitomizes it, and I think everyone agrees, it's like we're going to see the ballet, and they go to the ballet, and the ballet shut down because Bruce Wayne's taking the entire Russian ballet on a boat
because he can. And it's actually cover for him to do something else. But
I mean, and it's just like, and she was like, Bruce.
She was thinking a lot of very nasty words. Well, because I thought it was really summed up well in the first movie, where it's like he's come back to the city and he's starting to operate as Batman, and he's up there in that fancy hotel with all the rich people, and they're talking about him. And it's so funny. He makes the comment. He's like sitting there, and he like kind of twirls his finger at his head while he's talking. He says, any guy who dresses up as a bat clearly has issues. Like, just the way he said it was, like, he sold it so well. And then, like, those two ladies with him, like, the models or whatever they were supposed to be, are playing not in the pool or whatever. And the guy's like, the pool's not for playing in, sir. He's like, I'm buying this. And he's like, it's not a question of money. He's like, oh, no, I just bought this hotel and I'm changing the rules. Like, that's totally something, like... Alfred said rich men buy things that aren't for sale, but it was still totally a Bruce Wayne thing. And I don't know, like I will acknowledge that you are allowed to have a different opinion, but I just feel like he did a really good job at both aspects of the character.
Okay, I could.
It's not as good as Conroy doing it, but for me that's kind of a given. That's not to say Bale was bad. Conroy is just the master of that, and I'm a little sad that you can kind of notice it in like season 4 of Batman the Animated Series and then like the Justice League, and it's a little less this way in the Arkham games, but his voice actually isn't as growly as Batman in the later season, and his Bruce Wayne isn't as light and fluffy and happy. I read somewhere that was apparently because like that super growly bat voice he was doing was actually destroying his vocal cords. You know, I mean, it wasn't the Bale voice, but it was just he was apparently straining them too much, getting that extra
grasping it.
Yeah, that extra I'm gargling gravel and glass sound. So, but that was one of the things I loved for those first 3 seasons is his Batman was like he had 3 voices. He had the out in public Bruce Wayne who was all light and talking. He had the I'm in the Batcave, but my mask is pulled back and I'm talking with Alfred like lower tone. And then he had the I'm trying to make this criminal soil his pants for the next 3 years voice.
Yeah.
Speaking of animated series, I have and you saw them earlier, a couple posters signed by Todd Aaron Smith, which this man low-key went under the radar, was in a sea of people sitting at a table, and I happened to walk by. And if you don't know who Todd Aaron Smith is and you're a Batman animated series fan, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because this man was one of the animators on the series. Okay. So he got to draw basically the entire from season 1 to season 4, and so I never thought I would get to before in my life. I got to ask him questions about the series in general that he just. You just ever dream of asking somebody who was a part of this
because he was one of the top guys. Like he wasn't Dini, but
no. So he got to do the animation. So he's drawn Batman. He's drawn Poison Ivy. He's drawn Harley Quinn. But one of the things was that he liked in terms of doing the series was to him. And this is about Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, he never thought it made sense until season 4 that Poison Ivy wasn't green-skinned to him. Which I kind of had to think about that for a minute. Like, what do you mean? Well, obviously, kind of like a whole idea of a tree. When you've got food and photosynthesis running through it, it's going to be green. Mm-hmm. So when it came time to season 4, that was one of the things that made it finally. He thought he could draw something that finally made sense, which I thought was interesting. But I never really cared, too much. I just wanted to see.
I do remember noticing that she went from being like completely normal skin to like that kind of really pale
green,
like
type.
Almost mint green.
Yes, yeah.
And she was like, and she's no longer had like the arm. I don't think she had the arm crossbow anymore.
No. He said drawing Harley Quinn was actually very, very interesting, and it was almost in a sense that because a character was he never was there. One thing he told me, he wasn't there when they made the decision to create Harley Quinn, but he was after the decision was made to create Harley Quinn for the series. They handed him some models and they were like, go ahead and create this character. So it was actually very interesting that he had the chance to really kind of put his own spin,
his stamp, if you will,
so to speak, in some aspects of the Harley Quinn character. So he actually got to be a part of that process and with a collective group of people to create Harley Quinn, even once Harley Quinn was then established. So he got to put that art style into it, which was very cool. So I got a couple posters signed. Oh, he said also one of his favorite episodes to work on was the episode Superman came in.
Okay.
There was like it was like a 2 episode, which it
was it the one where
it,
Batman had gone missing? That one, or was so you're not talking about the world's finest little
not the
mini
world
movie.
that it's
I don't remember what it's
because
called.
there's the movie. Yeah, there was the movie, but that movie was based off of the episodes that they had created. So World's Finest, the way he kind of explained it was World's Finest was a part of, or not necessarily directly, but it was in a sense sort of tied to some of the episodes that were that had Superman in it.
Right. Well, because I remember they had the World's Finest thing, and that was kind of like when the characters meet. And then somewhere in the 4th season of Batman, there's this thing where Bruce Wayne goes missing, and they end up having Superman come in and basically sub for him, which led to some hilarity, like Superman versus Bane, totally unfair. But it's like, oh, he's Batman. It's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember that. It's been a while since I've seen them, but yeah, I do remember those episodes. And that was fun, especially because Superman, like, you wouldn't think he would nail it, and then suddenly he's nailing the Bat voice. So, unlike me right now.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see if I can find it. But there's a one particular episode where he comes in, and whatever that very first episode they did was one of his very first 2 episodes
of drawing?
Of really animating.
Okay.
That he definitely enjoyed the most.
Okay.
Because I asked him, I was like, so what was your favorite episode to animate? And he's like, when we finally got a chance to bring Superman in for the first time and really draw him was one of his favorites. So it was just an interesting conversation. And the fact he just went under the radar and wasn't even on the sheet of guest appearances, or maybe it was one of those things that he was, but it's on that little tiny list, that long list of tiny names.
Yeah.
That you just don't necessarily read because you're just like, it's too long.
Of like the people who created the series, you mean?
No, like when you go to when you go to cons, they're like, there's the big names that they're like,
well, yeah,
they show face and pictures.
Oh,
and like,
yeah,
these are the people
yeah.
that they're pushing, and then they have their own booth, and so people go line up at those lines. But then they give you, they're like, so
There's
there's
a
some
whole
of
list
these
of other
creators
creators,
and
yeah.
animators.
Yeah.
So he was probably on there, and I probably didn't see it.
Was this at Planet Comic Con this year, or was
Or
this
it was the new Comic Con, the one that they did back in August. Kansas City Comic Con.
Yeah.
And he was there. It just had a table randomly. And the only reason I stopped was because I saw Batman the Animated Series, which to me is my favorite Batman series of all time.
Yeah.
We don't have a discussion about it.
Really?
That's fair.
No discussion whatsoever?
Why? Why would we need a discussion?
Batman Beyond.
That counts as Batman the Animated Series. Bam! Discussion done.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I joke, but it's the same characters. I mean, it's the same. I mean,
still have Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, so, okay.
Kevin Conroy is now just a crotchety old guy. I mean, we could at this point we could do Batman Beyond and just have Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne.
It's their spin-off. So technically, it's still in a sense attached to it.
It legitimately is part of what's called the DCAU, DC Animated Universe, which applies to all of those D-universe things. So yeah, Batman, Superman, Justice League, Static, and Batman Beyond. Brought Static up because I remember you guys talking about it. I think was he on your list?
Yeah, it was on my list.
Like I didn't
Static.
ever watch like every episode, but I caught a lot of episodes. I enjoyed that show.
Batman made an appearance, so of course
Well,
Kevin
then
Conroy.
got Justice League maybe.
Well, yeah, because they eventually they started crossing around.
There was a solo Batman episode, and then there was an episode Justice League was.
There was also a Shaq episode, but
There's that. Shaq Fu wasn't bad enough.
Those were the
But
days
at
where
least-
Shaq was
well, okay.
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it, but Static itself was a solid series.
Very
so
solid.
Shaq coming in, it wasn't like, well, this is a train wreck anyway. It was maybe not the best episode, but
It was definitely one that would sit towards the bottom. At least within the series itself.
every series has episodes like that.
Yeah. That for sure.
Even Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, which I think there were... You know one that I found interesting? I don't know if you remember it. It's the episode called The Man Who Killed Batman.
Oh my gosh.
Which you had this little
Oh my
podunk
gosh.
dude
Yes.
who... He was like
Sid
one of
the
those...
squid.
Yeah, he's like he was a low-ranking gangster. Who was like... He was
a failure. Like, he just was failing in everything.
failure. And he somehow managed to kill Batman.
Or, like, the situation came about that it looked like he had killed Batman. And so the whole episode is everybody talking him up like he's the best thing ever. And he keeps running around like he's scared because everybody thinks he's the toughest guy, so now they want to take down the guy who took down Batman. And he goes to various mobsters and is running around. And finally, he falls into the clutches of the Joker. And this is where the episode goes from interesting to both hilarious and, like, absolutely phenomenal all at once. Because we get a funeral run by the Joker for Batman. And, I mean, they legit had Harley Quinn playing the kazoo. And I think she was playing, like, taps or Amazing Grace or something like that, and they actually played it in the soundstage. I remember they only got like one take because once she did the one take, everybody, including the actress doing Harley Quinn, was just cracking up too hard. They just it was done. They were done like for the day or something. And I mean, but Hamill just nailed the speech. I mean, well, it was Hamill doing the Joker. He nailed it every time. But it was it was an amazing episode. Like, even just for that one sequence, you know, and summed it up as this whole speech about life just isn't as funny without Batman. And they wrap it up. They toss the Sid the Squid into a coffin that goes in acid, and he's like, well, who's up for Chinese?
I
mean, just that.
Oh man,
that episode is what makes me think that Hamill, being in The Killing Joke, which he has said he's going to do,
which I was so like, oh my goodness. First of all,
he keeps getting pulled back in
when he said I would be interested in doing it, I'm like, DC, pick this man up again. Do not let him go. And then he said, I'm doing it.
Yeah. So, like, that episode
else.
convinces me that he is just going to absolutely nail The Killing Joke. Because just that sheer...
He was the voice.
That sheer 180 from, like, almost serious to completely irreverent. Mm-hmm. I'm just convinced he's going to nail it in Killing Joke. I mean, he nails every time.
He's the one character we never have to really... He's that one voice actor you feel like, especially playing the Joker, and he's the one I think really gave the Joker life the most, at least of that era and that time frame within that decade.
Oh, yeah.
That you don't worry about it.
I want to say his performance as Trickster in Flash.
Oh my gosh.
Last season. I think it's last season.
Yeah, it was last season.
He's returning this season too.
That performance was like...
It was like watching the Joker.
I was just like, he still got it.
And yet he threw in that line where he told the new Trickster, I am your father. I'm like,
yes,
oh my
yes.
God. Like, if you could do like a happy table flip, that's like a happy table flip moment. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
that is now.
It's a mic drop. There we go. Yeah. It's a mic drop moment because that was just okay. We can wrap the episode
and
there.
He had the classic hand on the shoulder.
Yeah, he had that line later. I don't think that was very sanitary. Because that was clearly the biggest concern in the scene where everybody's poisoned is that sanitary? But yeah, when I saw he's coming back, that was great. I really hope they make sure to have the guy, the actor, John Wesley Shipp?
Yeah.
The guy who played the Flash in the 90s show and is Barry's dad in this show. I really hope they have him in that episode.
Yeah. The two of them in that first Trickster episode was ingenious, and I loved it to see that chemistry between them again.
But they didn't overplay it, which was good, because the show isn't about that guy. It's about, it's about Barry Allen, but it just, that was a great episode. That was just a fantastic episode in every way, and I was legitimately surprised at 1 or 2 points in it, which is good. I mean, even if you could, some people say, "Oh, I saw it coming a mile away," that's great, but if I'm not trying to overthink the episode, and I'm surprised,
it was.
Which I guess we can segue a little bit into like the hero shows out right now, because I've been watching Gotham, Flash, Arrow, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
And I would rank them in like the reverse order of that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, Flash, Gotham, as far as how well I think they're doing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, has just... They started the season and their foot was on the gas pedal, and they have not let off the gas in the best way possible so far. I mean, just all the actors and actresses, I feel like, are pretty much nailing it. The storyline has got me hooked. I want to know what happens next. They're using their special effects budget wisely. They're not like overusing it, but I haven't seen anything that's cheesy effects yet. I haven't like rolled my eyes at the effects. Not that I really did that last season, but they've really been letting the actress they've really been letting the Daisy character cut loose. Uh-huh. Like when I found out who that character was, like instead of just a completely new character, she's actually an existing Marvel character. I thought that was cool. And then when they actually like gave her powers and everything, that was even more cool. But yeah, it's only like 2 episodes in, 2 awesome episodes. Arrow was just like I haven't actually watched every single episode of the series. I've seen a little bit of seasons 1 and 2, and I watched all of season 3, and then now I've watched what's out so far, the
4.
whopping 2 episodes of season 4, and I'm just loving it. It's just amazing. I know you guys talked about your theory about again, slight spoiler alert for people who are behind on that, because we're only 2 episodes in. But at the end of the first episode, they had a 6 months later scene with a grave.
Yeah.
My theory...
Felicity.
You know what's funny?
My theory is actually it's going to be Diggle.
No.
Here's
hoping it.
I hope it's not Diggle.
I've had this suspicion,
but
I don't want it to be.
There's a couple things on that. Barry said he was late. I saw somebody make a good point. Barry would probably not be late to Felicity's and still be like mobile. Yeah. Because he was a lot closer to Felicity. Like he's not dissing Dig, but he's not like close to Dig.
Yeah.
Oliver would probably not be in as good of a state as he's in. Like him saying, "Oh, I'm totally gonna kill this Stark guy." Oh, he would be on the warpath if Diggle was dead. If Felicity was dead, he would probably be a wreck. But I mean, it's. I'm trying to be careful saying this because it's kind of the let's kill the black guy idea if they do that. But they've introduced Michael Holt.
No, Curtis. The guy who's supposed to, wait, are you talking about Mr. Terrific? The guy.
Yeah. Okay, and I just had this thought.
Curtis Holt. Yeah, you're right.
I just had this thought. Diggle's costume is kind of but if you change up the helmet a little bit, it can make a T shape, and he's got like the leather jacket. I'm like, what if him going down inspires Holt to be a hero, and he uses like super tech or something and takes Diggle's costume?
As a matter of fact, that's a good theory because
he's
come to think of it,
and maybe Diggle takes the name at first, but Diggle does something super heroic and dies. Okay. And so Ollie's on a warpath. We've got Mr. Terrific because we've been told straight up he's going to be Mr. Terrific, and right now he's basically second Felicity, and he's only been in 1 episode so far. I like the character. I think he's going to be fun, but I really want him to be more than just Felicity. I'm hoping Felicity gets a codename like not Oracle, but something like that.
And maybe they'll make her very, Oracle. Very interesting that now that you say that, because if Diggle does die, the costume does happen. My theory is that the project that Felicity and Curtis are working on is actually 6 months.
Oh yeah, they said it's going to be 6 months.
And I think they're going to work on the T-spheres. The
T-spheres
that he. So if he makes the T-sphere, that comes about, which is 6 months from then. Diggle dies. I mean, that kind of lines up pretty well. Now, my theory.
Now here's the thing: we're assuming that Oliver is okay with just letting this guy walk in.
whether he's okay with it or not.
Well, he has the
end
with
with
Felicity. If Felicity's still alive, he has the end with Felicity. This guy, I mean, we've seen. I remember seeing like this what they call it, the sizzle reel that they gave. We know him and Felicity get stuck in when some guy attacks. I think that happens like this coming episode.
Yes, it's supposed to be this episode.
And like Felicity like fires a gun, which is pretty awesome. Like I like Felicity actually being at least somewhat effective. Like the episode last season where she's with everybody else and they went to Nandar Parbat.
Last season was just.
And she like threw the Well, no, this is like the one awesome moment. She threw the tablet and the guy like falls over. She's like, "Yay!" And then you see it was actually John Barrowman. I mean Malcolm Merlin shooting the guy. But just that one moment where like Felicity's like, "I took a guy down with a tablet. Behold my power."
And then she looks over and it's Malcolm Merlin.
Like that was basically the one good. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but that's kind of my theory with who's in the grave. And why it's that character who's dead, and then what that's going to spawn. Here's my theory.
Here's my theory.
I think Felicity is the other strong option.
Felicity is the other strong option, but here's my reason as to why it's probably not Felicity. Although, for that, if they're really going to follow comic book status in terms of Oliver, in terms of relationships and who he gets married to, obviously it's Oliver and Laurel.
Because she is the Black Canary. We don't have like he.
Well, she's probably Canary.
She's Black Canary because Sarah was the Canary.
Yeah, so Sarah was the Canary, and she comes back as white, whatever.
She'll be White Canary, which is an actual DC character.
Yeah, I know, but like I know they haven't like I know they haven't said it yet.
Yeah,
but like I really hope Laurel isn't the Black Canary. At least the current Laurel. I really don't.
I think she's getting a little better. I'm just really hoping they actually have her use
They've had to drag
the
her
Canary Cry.
The Canary Cry.
She used that like twice, and then now they haven't used it. I'm like, what the heck,
didn't like Cisco create?
Cisco
made it. Which Cisco is one of my favorite characters in Flash. We'll get to Flash in a second.
Yeah, but here's my theory as to why it's probably not Felicity. If everything that the information that they fed us over the summer is true, if they're supposed to reveal Felicity's father, which they want to explore Felicity's backstory, if they do, there was that theory floating around, or at least they gave us the implication that Felicity's father may be Damien Dark. Now, they obviously say things to make you think and to get you to do these theory stuff. If it is, you're gonna need Felicity for the whole season, really.
Okay.
You're gonna because they're gonna be
need is a very strong word. I feel like when you say you need a character, that's when if
it's anyone besides Oliver,
you're kind of in trouble if you say you need somebody, you need this person. That's like I was kind of tied to like, oh, you need Roy, and I was like,
no. Okay, but for a story aspect,
I don't feel like you
different.
I don't feel like
show.
I don't feel like you. Felicity has never been, for me, a concrete character. I feel like she can leave the show at any point and the show will continue on. And
it always
the dynamic would be different, but I feel like she's not like
almost any character.
Any character who's not Oliver Queen can do that.
Yes. Now, see, here's the thing. I feel like Thea's fallen to the point where you kind of need Thea because Oliver and Thea are getting to the point where they're almost like they're dependent on each other. Right. So like I'm getting to the show like you need Oliver, you need Thea. Everyone else is still kind of nah. Now I do have the reason I want to say it's still Felicity, and I'll let you finish yours in a little bit. I feel like the current trajectory that they're on is breakup city, which is why I feel like if they do break up, it doesn't leave Oliver in the broken down state, which we assume he's still going to be on this warpath. He's still going to win an event. Like he'll probably be even more on the warpath. Like I understand we were in a relationship, we've ended it. It's 6 months later. I feel like next 2 episodes the relationship is going to end. Either this one or the next one.
And actually, you might be right because the moment he announced for mayor at the end of this last episode, did you see her face?
I don't remember that she made it. I remember
she was like, it was more of a concerned type. It was just not a normal Felicity type face to make.
Yeah, and this is why I feel like it could be Felicity, and this could be, and that's because I see it. Like I feel like the relationship ends in the next 2 episodes. And they do the same thing they did season 3. She cries for a little bit, and she was like, "I'm a big girl," and somehow her friendship with
Curtis,
whatever his name is,
Holt works.
Holt is
It's not like it's not the Ray Palmer love interest. It's the that was anyway. So her friendship with Holt is what
didn't go too far with.
Yeah, it's her relationship with her friendship with Holt that pulls her through to where okay, she's running the company, she's still helping the team. Like regardless, Oliver and her are still gonna have that little thing, but she can still be like boom boom, 2 shots to the head. She's dead. Oliver is distraught, understandably, but he's now on the path of now it's time to play ball. Like I've been nice.
I guess the one thing for me there is if it was Felicity, why isn't Barry also like, yeah, I'll help hold him down while you kill him? I mean,
here's my thing. I feel like
Barry and her were never in a romantic relationship, but it's pretty clear they have a strong friendship, even though they're not always sharing episodes.
I feel like this is where we start to see Barry and his relationship start to get a little stronger, and hence he's probably more focused on the things going on. Because like Zoom.
Well, he does have. Yeah, there's the whole Zoom.
The Zoom thing is no joke. The Zoom thing is no joke. I mean, if anyone doesn't read Flash, like Zoom is kind of like that guy.
And Zoom is like okay. Any I don't reverse say Flash, this. Zoom, any iteration of that character, yeah, is serious business.
This is some people gonna call this stretching, but like Zoom is to Flash, Joker is to Batman.
I was kind of thinking along the same line. I feel like it's a split with Zoom,
or
there's some of that with Zoom.
Flash.
Well, Zoom, Reverse Flash, like I said, any iteration. I mean,
for those who don't know, real quick, we've got Zoom, we've got Professor Zoom, we've got Reverse Flash. All 3 different characters. There's the mistake that some people make that Professor Zoom and Zoom are the same person, which they are not. We will have to do another episode about that.
Probably.
But all 3 of those characters would be...
They fill a similar role. Even if they're not literally the same person, they're not the same, like, named character, but all 3 fill a similar role. I think all 3 of them wear a yellow primary suit. They're all evil speedsters, so it's all kind of, like... And the comics may use different terminology about why they move fast, but they... conceptually or archetypically or whatever big 20-cent word we want to throw in there, they fill the same role of that dark mirror of the Flash. That's the key part here.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, is that like there's always some sort of Zoom variation clashing against the Flash character. And I feel like that is what is preoccupying his time. He's dealing with this.
He said that explicitly in the episode. I was dealing with Zoom.
Yeah, and when I feel like he says it for the Arrow people. The Arrow people that don't watch Flash, which I feel there's very few of those.
Yeah. I was gonna say at this point,
that
Venn diagram.
The people who watch it is kind of a giant circle, and the people who watch Flash is
that Venn diagram is almost just one circle.
Yeah, it's kind of just like edges on the edge. There's edges on the.
Yeah, there's edge cases.
Yeah, there's edge cases. So I think it's kind of like I've been dealing with Zooms. Like, okay, I understand Zooms.
Well, and they had a reference in the most recent Flash episode about Green Arrow. I don't know about putting colors.
Yes, that was.
So and that's I'm still not a fan of the way they did the whole Green Arrow thing. I feel like they could have been a lot smoother.
I'm liking the moment to moment with Ollie. Like I'm liking that he's still consistently not as dark and broody. Like he's not like total snarky, I'm a commie guy like he is in the comics, which is fine. That's his own character, and there are Batman elements. You know what? I've accepted that. We had Ra's al Ghul. Although I think Damien Dark is like blowing it out of the water as far as just I enjoy every scene with Damien Dark, and even if there are some scenes where it's like his thing with in the most recent episode. Well, where he was just like, well, I don't like how this guy does it, but I'm gonna threaten your daughter or whatever.
And then he's like, you've crossed a line.
Yeah,
that's
like
whole
the way
scene.
Well, no, when he was threatening Captain Lance, and he was
saying, at the very end.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, this guy threatens a person's daughter, and it's not okay. You do it; it is okay. But I'm just having so much fun watching that guy be Damien Dark. Like he's just casually like stopping arrows and killing people with his hands and like threatening, telling people they need to let cities die like it's a sick puppy. I mean, who makes a sick puppy analogy?
Yeah, and all done in a very nice suit.
Yes,
very nice
he's
Armani
sharply
Givenchy
dressed,
suit.
and he just, you can imagine this guy's ordering a latte the way he's talking, except no, he's talking about how he wants the city to be dead. So like that actor, like I feel like that actor is having fun, which is important. I feel like Stephen Amell, who, from everything I've seen like on social media and whatnot in the last year, the guy's like just a totally awesome bro and everything. But what?
I was just gonna say he's just one of those guys that's really. He's one of the. I feel like for TV right now, he's one of the most accessible guys out there. Oh,
totally.
For social, for promoting a show or just someone you want to like maybe ask.
He's just so nice to his fans. He's just so nice to his fans. But I feel like he's having more fun as Ollie this season. I think he's getting to let a little bit more of himself, his natural self, leak into the character, which for something like this I think is good. Like there's still a clear distinction in the mind of everybody who's not the wrestler Stardust, or at least the character that Stardust presents. We can talk about wrestling in a minute if you guys want, or we can cut that off. But
we can go into that.
we can go. I thought it was
we'll get into that bit later. Yeah,
but he's just having more fun, and it makes the show more fun, which I think is an important thing, because we still have, like, dark things, and we still have, like, is this city gonna die? Well, the answer is obviously no. But it's just so much fun this season. That's why I've liked it. And then Flash, so now getting back to this, like, ranking Flash, I felt like the first episode felt weak. It wasn't terrible, but it was not what I was hoping for. I feel like they so wasted the Atom Smasher character. I mean, putting aside the fact that...
for the new season. I thought you were talking about like a pilot. I thought you were talking about the pilot.
No, the pilot was good. I'm sorry, yeah. I'm looping back a little bit. We're talking about this season specifically. First episode of this season... I don't know. I mean, it
wasn't
felt like
all that it could be.
It felt almost like it was more about setting pieces up than it was telling a story, which I don't think was good.
Setting pieces up.
And I feel like it wasted Atom Smasher, both as the potential for him to eventually turn into a good guy. I feel like the effects could have been better.
The effects could have been better.
And I feel like they just didn't give him enough time. I felt like he wasn't used to his potential.
There's a couple things here. The Atom Smasher they were following was the Earth 2 Atom Smasher, who's definitely a villain. And actually, back to the whole thing of necessarily killing people. The last 2 episodes, Barry has just killed the last 2 people.
I mean, what
straight
was
up.
I guess. Well, okay, we could maybe have something with the Sand Dude where maybe I'm really hoping we see something about how we swept him into a bin and now he's like fine back in. Blackgate or whatever. If they do that would be great because, otherwise we've totally killed 2 guys in a row. One of them with cancer. I mean...
that's low-key, that's kind of what happened.
With Atom Smasher. I mean, like, we shove radiation in him and then he's laying there, and he's got, like, lumps on his face. I'm like, did Flash... Cancer? Yeah, did Flash just give a guy cancer and kill him with cancer? I'm not sure how I feel about that, especially with Stephen Amell's whole F cancer campaign. It's like even more irony.
That. Yeah,
but
those are ironic.
I will say that the guy they have playing Jay Garrick, like introducing Jay Garrick in general, awesome.
That's one of the best ways I think
him is nailing it. That's the other thing that made me want to table flip with the first episode was, okay, Barry's dad is free now. Again, we're in like total spoiler territory here, folks. You've been warned. That's your second warning. I'm not warning again on anything.
No, this is like 4th technically, but
But he's free now. Awesome. And he's like, I can't be around in the city. And Barry's all angsty. I'm like, dude, you're the Flash. You have the best excuse ever for your dad to be in an episode or not be in an episode. I mean, your dad doesn't want to live in the same place as you. That's legit. I could understand his dad saying, I need some space. I could eat... Like, the reason he gave was, like, the worst one, too. Like, I saw somebody say, why didn't he just say, I need to start over again. This city has a lot of bad memories. I'll come back and... You can visit me anytime, and I'll come back and visit sometimes, but I'm not going to live here, or at least for a while.
It's Peter Parker syndrome.
Yeah.
It's like, the absence of me will allow you to grow into something greater than I could. Then you could ever be.
If that had
been, I guess it's the Uncle Ben syndrome.
I mean, if it had been, if that whole line of you'll be better with me not around, if that had been like a tertiary reason, I could maybe accept it. Because Barry has had a thing where it's like, my dad's got to be, you could kind of tell Barry was almost about to regress to like high school student stage with how much he was talking about, which I don't know how well I like that either. But I mean, I can kind of understand it. His dad's been locked up since he was like 12, so I mean, in a way, he wants to go back to being a high schooler. But it just again, lots of individual little pieces being set up. Second episode was way smoother. I feel like a lot of the humor was more on target.
I love the Patty Spivot character. The Patty Spivot,
really
chemistry.
Yeah.
And first of all, the
chemistry
Monty
Python reference
was so great.
And
loved it.
And I mean, they did it the way it felt like a natural Two Geeks referencing Monty Python moment, and I think that's key. They've done a really good job in this show of making the geekery feel natural. Cisco is the prime example. Like, I read the recaps of the episode on IO9 because they're always hilarious, and almost every episode there's something like, if anybody, some comment Cisco made, the person will say, if any other character had said this, I would just be wanting to throttle them, but somehow I just laugh my butt off when it's Cisco saying it. Like, somehow the guy playing Cisco is just nailing everything, pretty much everything he does.
Carlos Valdez.
Yes, Carlos Valdez. He's just nailing Cisco. Cisco is one of my favorite characters.
Definitely.
And I'm really hoping that this whole, I'm seeing like weird visions, I hope this, he said the word vibe, like I get a weird vibe. I'm really hoping he ends up as a straight up superhero and has
because I mean, obviously the vibe.
I mean, he's vibe.
Is.
I really hope he ends up with a costume at least vaguely like his comic one, like with the shades and the like orange and just like the flare shoulders. Cisco is the kind of guy who would make an outfit like that, even if for just one outing, and then make a quote unquote more reasonable one. As much as anything in this show is about reasonable costumes, when we have a guy running at the speed of sound in red tights, or red Kevlar, or whatever the heck it is. Yeah. But like, I want Cisco to have fun. Like, I really hope this whole I don't like my powers goes away quickly, and he has fun with it. Cisco is at his best when he's having fun. Like, the best non-fun moment in season 1 was when he was killed by Wells, and that was because you basically felt like Wells was killing a puppy. Like, that had to be the most gut-wrenching episode of the entire season. You're just like,
and then the fact that it almost happened, you felt like it was about to happen again. You're like, I can't watch this a second time.
Why do you play with my heart like this? And then it didn't happen. But I mean, outside of moments like that, and I don't feel like the more serious moments with him have in any way even approached that level. He is the fun character. Like, he doesn't need to be one note, but he's the guy that we have fun with. And if we're not having fun with him,
it's gonna be a little rough.
And he needs to have fun with his powers, so he needs to figure that out.
He will.
I really hope he will.
He will, but I think he gave for me a valid reason to be able to accept it, because he was like, well, Harrison Wells gave me this power, and Harrison Wells, with the things he's done and what he told me, I feel like I can't do it. And as they said, every time
he walks through the journey with it, and it's not. I hope that's not the entire season, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't think it will, but anytime someone hides something from their friends, it never ends.
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't go into too much drama.
From the way it's been, like, from the way, like, the Flash, the way writing the show and how things get discovered and uncovered, Barry is going to fall into some situation, and it's going to have to be up to Cisco to embrace. I mean, because that's how
his
it's always
vibeness, if you will,
in order to, and that's kind of the thing. Like, it's my slight issue. I feel like, and I understand it's Barry, and I have the way the characters are in my head is from like pre-52, so I have this very concrete image of like Flash being the quirky character, but he's like 25. He is a PhD level professor, not a fresh out of college. Student. So it's kind of bothering me that we're so this young Flash. And like, it's cool, and I like Arrow. I'm more fine with. Like, I prefer Arrow because I feel like he's more in line with like Year One Arrow, which is probably one of my favorite Arrow comics that I've read.
Which is by far probably one of the best Arrow comics. I'm fine with the way the character is. Flash, I have a lot of issues with, but it's so good that I'm like.
Yeah,
well, here's we can bury it. So I feel like it's got to be like Barry gets stuff.
We can bury it.
I didn't mean to do that, but it worked out. Anyway, so I was like, it's gonna be a situation where like he gets into some situation. Oh, I have to take on Zoom on my own, and he's gonna get himself stuck again, and it's gonna be like, all right, we have to come together as a team. And Cisco's gonna be like, I hope they say it's like, I'm the only one that can do this. Like they had a couple episodes last season where Cisco's like, it's up to me. I have to do this. And season 1, it happened a lot with the whole Caitlin's boyfriend. I can never.
Ronnie.
Robbie.
Robbie is
Ronnie.
Yeah,
Ronnie.
Robbie's the actual actor's name.
Yeah, so
Ronnie
it's like, he felt guilty for Ronnie, so I was like, I'm the only one that can do this. I'm the only one that can fix this. So I think it's gonna be I think it's kind of like a trope they've kind of given.
Yeah. Now here's the
Cisco's
thing.
like, this is my fault. Well, I feel responsible, especially when you get. I don't want it. The whole thing with his brother, and he felt responsible.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that's kind of his character trope now. So he's kind of like, I put Barry in this.
But at least he's willing to step up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's how it's gonna have to go in order for him to like embrace his powers. And he's probably gonna come out with a ridiculous costume, and they're gonna make some fun of it, and he's gonna be like, I thought it was cool. And it was like,
and everybody will feel terrible for making fun of him, or at least the audience will think they're terrible.
Here's
people.
where I feel like they're really gonna do it. The whole the flashlight idea was kind of cool. I don't know, I saw it in a comic book or something. The whole Batman.
The flash signal in the sky.
Yeah.
That was the greatest.
I feel like he's gonna be like, I haven't been reading the comic books lately. I saw this costume somewhere. I thought it was cool. And then he's gonna get like the real costume that they're gonna use for the rest of the season.
I know you said you had issues because you're stuck with the stipulation of pre-52 Flash.
Yeah, which is probably my favorite Flash.
That's fair.
No, it's very fair.
Pre-52 Barry Flash?
Barry.
Okay.
Barry.
Because we've had a lot of Flashes.
Because Justice League and Justice League Unlimited was Wally West.
Right.
They had that Wally West run, but
And if it
Barry.
and that's the thing. If it would have been, we're not even gonna go there because it's gonna be a whole.
That's a whole nother segment as well.
A whole nother bag of rice. We get
here's-
into like Wally West versus.
I think
Barry,
here's your thing.
and I still think it should be Wally West instead of Barry, but
Well, we're getting Wally.
We are getting Wally, and I like this that they're because the comics in the pre-52 never had the chance to go into this African American Wally. What they're probably going to do now on Flash will probably end up becoming canon, just like Diggle did on the Arrow side. But anyways, to get to your point on your stipulation, because you got a fresh out of college Barry. I think it also has to do with the whole time travel thing and altering the timeline here, because remember. Reverse Flash, or Eobard Thawne, said when he killed Harrison Wells, in 10 years from now or in 5 years from now.
It was like this year 10 or 15.
He said,
he
said in 2020 you build, or whatever year you say, he said you built the particle accelerator and it goes off without a hitch. Okay, but then he's like, I need that to happen
a little sooner.
So he therefore jumpstarts the entire Flash process by 5 years. So it's no longer a 30-year-old Barry or a 35-year-old Barry, whatever age he's supposed to be at. It is now a 25-year-old Barry because Eobard Thawne completely jump-started the whole timeline. Everything is jump-started. So whatever normal things we were supposed to be, Iris and Barry's supposed to be getting married at the age of 35 or 40, whatever they get married, they're probably going to get married sooner. Or maybe later because of this. It's that whole time travel linear.
It's that whole timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why everything is starting where it is, and that's probably why your issues.
I like that timey-wimey reference. I see what I very well crafted timey-wimey reference.
But I think that's where
it's a good spot to put it.
That's where your hang-up, I think, is, because everything has started much earlier than it should have, and the show recognizes that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think about that all the time, but that's a good point. I mean, we have in the first season, we have the whole thing with that AI that was helping Wells. It's like, oh, by the way, I was designed by Barry Allen. It's like, what? Side note, I love the bit where they're like, oh, can we maybe erase this from the memory? It's like, and Gabriel, bring up your database structure, and it brings it up, and Cisco just laughs and says, haha, nope. Nope. He hands up, nope, not even gonna try. I liked it because instead of doing some sort of tense hackery scene, he's just like, no,
I'm done. Out of my league.
I loved all the comic book references in this last episode of Flash. When Stein is talking and he's like, imagine if they were 52 Earths. And I was like
52!
Oh, and then another one. When Barry and Jay Garrick went to go save Patty and they split the wall.
Or they went around that wall or column or whatever,
The brick column / wall. And it recreated the Flash of Two Worlds comic image where they both trying to save the girl and Patty Spivet's laying there. And I'm just like, these people are mad geniuses right now. Like,
okay, so talking about comic references, did you catch in, I think it was in the second episode of Arrow. I know we're backtracking a little bit. When we were in the mullet flashback, the wig times, if you will.
The wig times. But just
they're in that Coast City bar.
Yes.
And you get that brief glimpse of a flight jacket with the name Jordan on it. Because we got the reference drop last season about something about
a fighter pilot.
The fighter pilot disappearing. I'm like, are we seriously prepping for at least the appearance of Green Lantern?
They definitely want to. I think they've, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that they've had the okay to potentially to do a Carol Ferris character, which will be a lot easier. They said,
well, they won't
rather than trying to get the okay to do a Hal Jordan. Now, they want to do a Hal Jordan. They've definitely said
that's going to take like half the season's special effects budget, but...
Well, even if they don't do power, just to have Hal Jordan character back in normal, but he making references to doing his Green Lantern stuff, I'm okay with. He doesn't have to be Green Lantern on screen.
I'm enough of a silly geek to kind of hope we could maybe get Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan.
Wow. Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I mean,
that'd be so good. Nathan Fillion, by the way, is doing a dope job as Kate Six in Destiny. Destiny went through this whole change in year 2 where they doing new story content. I've talked about how I love Taken King. I'm not playing as much as I used to, partially because I'm prepping for Fallout. I'm playing Wasteland 2, which is an amazing game. I'm going to get into the gaming section. And I'm just like, I'm kind of phased out of playing Destiny on a daily basis. I was playing that game 5 hours a day since September 9th, 2015. To 2014. I've been playing that game since September 9th, 5 hours a day. So I'm kind of burnt out. I don't know. I mean, the crew is still going hard. So I join it every now and then. But I'm enjoying my time with Wasteland and some other things. But Nathan Fillion, Destiny, they make a couple Firefly. I've got to go see a man about a ship. I died. I was like, yes! Yes! Firefly!
Real quick, backtrack to Arrow.
Okay.
So much
I actually, Stephen Amell said this. The writers have said this. But do you find this weird? Because I was like, really? They don't know who they're going to kill off yet. They've said they don't know who they're going to kill off.
Really?
Yes. Stephen Amell himself.
So that's probably why the reaction wasn't like super extreme, because he didn't know who it was.
He's like, I don't even know who's in the grave. And I'm like, wait,
I think
what?
So that's why I saw something about he made some "What's in the Box" jokes with Grant Gustin. That would be what? Wow.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. Now it makes more sense.
It makes more sense now. But I know, talking about quick little addendum to that sidetrack about Nathan Fillion. He is in the next Halo game. Like, they're using his face and his voice.
Yeah, he's
one of the Spartans.
Yeah, so he was
one of the Spartans in Spartan Locke's team. He's a Spartan.
So he
he's
was
totally Spartan in that.
He's technically an ODST.
I thought he was a Spartan 4 or whatever.
Okay,
it is.
so he's actually Bucky, and his first
I thought it was the same character.
Yeah, his first debut is in Halo ODST. So he's
right.
So he is an orbital drop shock trooper, and you play through the game. You're not a Spartan. You have a time, like you have a health bar, and you kind of have to play very different than you play Master Chief, because Master Chief you run, jump, you punch everything out of existence. In ODST it was very different. You had to play stealthy. It was at night. It was raining. You weren't able to use Covenant weapons to the same effect as Master Chief was. You weren't Spartans. I think at this point they are Spartans, or at least they're in Oni's version.
Well, I think because in Halo 4, like, I haven't actually played through Halo 4, but if I remember, like, reading about it and watching it and such, they have a process now where they can make an adult a Spartan, and they're at least close to the performance of
and that's
Spartan 2s, which is what the Master Chief is.
And the Spartan 2, like Oni's trying to get away from the Spartan 2 program, because they did a lot of dirt to get the Spartan 2s to where they are.
Well, it was, I mean, it was not an effective process just because they had so many people who went through the process and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and if you read in the history of Oni, if you want to learn more about, like, the history of Oni and Master Chief, and, like, a great segue, I mean, you've only got a couple more, I think literally a couple more weeks until Halo comes out, but check out Hunt the Truth. Hunt the Truth is an amazing podcast. It's 10 minutes an episode. Just fantastic. Like, season 1 is probably the best season, and like it made even better that I found out it's Jordan Key, or is it? Yeah, I think Jordan. Key is actually the one voicing one of the main characters. He does a phenomenal job. I didn't realize it was him until the start of season 2. But it's just really cool because it gives you a background. So like it's like a character researching Oni, and obviously them stepping in and protecting themselves. So you get this big government agency. You get a regular guy trying to fight the power, fight the man, and it goes very bad for him. But you learn so much more about the universe, and it just works out. It works out well. For you, kind of get a sense for the events happening in Halo 4. Sets you really setting up a lot of huge things for Halo 5. So that's a good way to check it out. I think they are Spartans. From what now I think
he was wearing what looked like Spartan armor and stuff. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Nathan Fillion. But anyway, so looping back, so let's see, we Arrow, Flash. So Gotham, I'm not going to talk as much. I'm going to try not to talk as much in this one so we can get to some of the other segments because I know we're running who knows how long. But Gotham is right now I'm in this mental mode of A, this show is totally crazy pants and I'm not sure if that's good or not. And then B, I want to see where it goes. I want to see where it goes. I want to see how they end it, whether it's ended naturally or unnatural, like it's canceled or whatever. I kind of hope it's not canceled. I want them to have a chance to do better. But it's just so all over the place. Even in one episode, there will be things that I'm like, this is really good. And then there will be things that just make me like, oh my gosh, guys. It's very much, it's made it really clear that it's its own universe. I don't know. Like, sometimes I love Alfred. Sometimes I don't like Alfred almost at all. Lucius Fox's character is about the only one who, every time he showed up, is awesome, but he's only showed up like twice for like 15 minutes apiece. So that's not necessarily like
not a good basis right now.
That's not a good basis. I am amused that the actor who plays Gordon and the actress who plays Leslie Tompkins are having a baby in real life together. I mean, that's a little bit of celebrity gossip, but it's just kind of it's morbidly amusing to me that apparently that on-screen romance became an off-screen romance. But she was the one who played Inara in Firefly, so yay, Firefly reference there. But I don't know, Gotham is just it's just all over the board. Like I'm 99% convinced that this Leopold or whatever his name is, I forgot the name of the guy who keeps showing up, who's like kind of the very obvious head of the villain group right now. It's totally going to be Court of Owls. Like, he keeps dropping all these heavy references.
Oh yeah, they've already said even that this season of Gotham
they've said the season's going to have Court of Owls, and this guy keeps talking about how for 200 years we've been working for Gotham, blah 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 blah. It's totally the Court of Owls. There's just no way it's not going to be the Court of Owls.
To be honest,
which
is probably one of the best stories of this recent decade.
So
written for me for Batman.
I guess the biggest thing for me is it's like all these characters that they're setting up, all these villains and whatnot, other than Poison Ivy and Catwoman, all of them are at least a few years older than Bruce. Which, I mean, granted, for some of them, like Penguin, that's fine. Penguin is not a super athletic character and stuff, but for every single one of them,
a fat old dude.
Yeah. So him, being older, that's fine. Riddler, I'm on the fence about, but okay.
Riddler on the fence. Riddler is more understandable because even in the Batman, even in the Arkham games, like you could see Riddler he
looked like he was in his
40s, approaching 50. You can see the
he's generally
you can see the hint of gray. You can see the hint of gray even though he's trying to hide it in the glasses. He's got a slight hunch. He's
always looked a little older anyway.
He's got some crow's feet, etc. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm worried about the trend because, they've got Victor Zsasz, who's like 20-something. I'm like, how is Victor Zsasz going to be a threat? They've got. It looks like they're bringing Firefly in next episode, and he doesn't look like he's 12. So I mean. He has the jetpack or whatever, but he's still very much a physical threat, or should be a physical threat for Batman. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's terrible for that, but it's just one of those kind of small things that bugs me. The bigger thing that bugs me is how Jim Gordon is. I'm like, how is he going to end up as the only cop that Bruce Wayne trusts? Because he's like totally he's at the rate he's going to be as dirty as any other cop in Gotham, and then it's going to be like, okay, why should we trust Jim Gordon? I guess because we like Jim Gordon? Who knows? You know, because he's handsome? But I don't know. And young Bruce is a brat in ways that I'm not totally a fan of. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. Again, with Gotham at this point, the show feels like it's crazy, and I'm not sure if that's good or not. It's not the kind of crazy that Joker is.
You have to. It's one of those things you kind of have to take it for what it is, because it's not based on anything. So, and because there's no comics written for that time of when Bruce was, from the time his parents were killed to the time he really year one, there's really nothing solid and whole written in the comic book. So you have to, kind of have to take it as it is. So. But.
Yeah.
No, and like, if anyone has seen, this is my problem with it. If anyone has seen Batman Year One, I feel like that is the direction Gotham should have been going in from the very start. And I understand, like, there's a gray space. His parents die.
Progression.
His parents die.
World travels and training profits.
It's still early. I mean, the kid's only, 11, 12?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone always knows Batman from the point where he comes back from training, world traveling. I mean, everyone in Gotham thinks he's in Switzerland getting a high-class education, which he kind of does, but he's also training with assassins.
He's also becoming a ninja.
Yeah, he's also training with assassins in the Swiss House. But then there's the quote-unquote the dark ages of Batman where we don't know. We don't know. And the reason I feel like, and why I have my problems with it, I feel like Alfred is the saving grace of that show. Because we see, and we've talked about how people have issue with Alfred being so aggressive towards Bruce, and he's like, people forget Alfred is ex-SAS. Special forces.
It's not necessarily his interactions with Bruce, although I feel like those can be a little over the top.
Yeah.
I really did not like him slapping Selena Kyle. I felt like that
was a little over the board.
And like you killed Reggie. Like, the dude stabbed you and was basically threatening Bruce. Like, okay, yeah, you're sad about Reggie or whatever, but it just felt out of nowhere, and I'm like, I'm not sure how much I like an Alfred who slaps 12-year-old girls, I guess.
And the way I see it is we haven't gotten to the 60-year-old Alfred.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally fine with him being more, shall we say, spunky. That's fine, because you're right. He's totally presented ex-SAS. I like that angle on Alfred. I'm fine with Alfred being more energetic and being a little rougher around the edges, and his snark being more of, like, kind of the lower-end Cockney snark and not the high-class British snark. That's fine. That's not the issue for me. It's just how I feel like sometimes his character is kind of up and down.
It is up and down.
And that's really this whole show, though. It's not just his one character. It's everything in the show is just really up
and like
down.
I have like sometimes I feel like it's almost like sometimes I'll be watching episodes and it's so gray and dark and rainy that I feel like I'm watching like an episode of like what's it called? American Horror Story. I'm like, this isn't Batman.
I mean,
but then again, they keep advertising it. Like, here's my thing: they keep advertising it as like Gotham, like Gordon's the main character. Never once have I felt like Gordon's the main character of the show.
At most, a main character.
Yeah,
but not
he's a main character, but not the main
character.
Never once have I felt like, oh yeah, Gordon's the main character. Nope. If anything, the city is the main character with a bunch of revolving. Pieces. Yeah.
I mean, and it just happens to be that Gordon is that more or less that catalyst to help you navigate those pieces.
Yeah.
But it's definitely about the city. I would agree.
But so the summary recap of that, John's totally amateur and semi-informed opinion about thus far the season right now of these 4 superhero shows is that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., followed closely by Arrow, followed sort of closely by Flash, with some gap, and then Gotham.
Okay. So, anyways, just real quick, we have a latecomer. This man decided to show up finally. We got Ace.
Hey,
man.
hey, how you guys doing?
Man, he.
Here working. Here working.
I mean,
We're going
congrats. You guys are almost at 3 hours or so I mean, yeah, dude.
We're going in today.
We didn't want
Keep
you to
rocking.
miss out on being on the podcast.
And I appreciate that because I've had this dream for a while. I was like, yo, I'm going to come in the podcast late and just be like, yeah, I'm here.
Congratulations.
I might as well
You're
cut-
living the dream.
I might as well cut you out.
No, please don't cut me out.
No, don't cut him out. That would be mean.
Okay, so anything else on anybody else's mind? I mean, we've hashed out a lot today. Oh, actually, why don't we'll give him a go at the top 5 games that you've ever played.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Of course.
Top 5
Oh.
games
And
you've ever played.
to give you a little wiggle room, all of us have done at least one thing where we've given like a series. So I did one of mine was the Batman Arkham series. Not any one of the games. I just said the whole thing. He said Kingdom Hearts.
Bro, okay, I'm with you.
So yeah, you can kind of do that. Another one of his was FIFA. So if there's a collection of sports games, a line that's the same thing.
It's the same thing,
We
but
can,
yeah.
we'll say that because we're not being held down by the man here. So
Okay.
we don't have to pick just singular games.
Never mind. Oh, never mind. We'll talk to you later. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, so it's like a descending order or
Whatever.
just
whatever.
in random order?
I didn't have a specific.
We didn't have a
ranking.
specific
I put
order,
in the
yeah.
Batman one at the top, and then the others are all pretty good. So yeah, don't feel constrained by an exact order.
All right, I'm gonna have to give 2 series. There is Kingdom Hearts, the series. Love Kingdom Hearts. We have the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm.
Okay,
series,
yeah.
all those games.
Specifically the Ultimate Ninja Storm.
Storms, yeah,
because there's
from
been how many varieties
Ultimate
of the
Ninja,
Naruto
yeah,
games?
but it's those really stick out to me after Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. I believe after that they start sticking out to me.
Okay, yeah.
Pokemon, just go classic. I'm slightly into Destiny, so
Okay.
I'm gonna put that on the list, and then Skyrim.
Okay. 3
Elder
of us with
Scrolls
Skyrim on our
Yeah.
list.
Oh, okay.
It's probably because I haven't played Skyrim yet.
Well, I'm
so
telling you.
Get it?
At
Yeah.
some point, it's
You need
it's
to.
on.
Like I've already
If
said,
3 people are saying it at this table
Yeah,
right in
no.
front of you,
like I've already
And
said
it's-
so many times, if you're disappointed by a game, grab Skyrim and mod it, and you will have that'll take away the disappointment. Skyrim is that game.
Well, and I mean, Skyrim is in my areas of interest. It's in the high,
I should put
what we
Fallout.
call high fantasy. So that's one of my things, high fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
If it's high fantasy or sci-fi or comic book, I'm at least going to be interested. So
well then.
Do you have a PS3?
I don't have a PS3. I have an Xbox 360.
Okay.
So I could get Skyrim. I couldn't I don't know if there's a multiplayer for it that's on PS3 or something, but.
No, I'm saying we have a copy on the PS3. You can
Oh,
buy it.
yeah, no, sorry. Xbox 360.
Oh well. Well, just
It
as
plays
long as you
games.
get as long as you get around to be able to to play it, because it's such a good game that I don't think anybody really should sleep on, especially if you're in that fantasy realm and all that jazz. And that map is
You're gonna have
very
fun.
big, especially running. One thing that I had to learn very quickly is
Don't teleport.
don't fast travel.
Don't do that.
You miss so much extra content or so much extra little details they placed in the game
Right.
by just fast traveling. I mean, you're just walking down, and I have somebody come and give me a sword, like, "Hey, hide this for me. Don't say a word." Yeah, Caleb actually. I just
Was that
couldn't
your-
leave it.
didn't you
Caleb
bring that
talked
up?
about it.
Yeah.
It's happened to me before too. Or I joined the assassin. No, I did something, and someone from the assassin guild tried to kill me, and then I killed him, and I pulled out a note. He's like, "We put out this order. Go kill this character." Wow. Well, I'm hunting you down. Why do you?
That's actually one of the. There's a funny way. There's a couple ways to join the Assassin's Guild, and if you ignore them the entire game, they're just gonna keep sending assassins to you, and most of them are just pushovers. But it gets to a point where they start sending guys. They'll send teams after you. I remember I was playing the game one time, and they was like, "Oh, there's a carriage and it's broken down. Oh, help me, good sir." And you walk over and
this is fishy. They're like, get in! Like, time for all of you to die. You destroy them, and you find out somebody put a bounty on you. And then you're like, you know what? Enough of this. And you track them down, and it's like, oh, well, we've been trying to kill you, but keep killing assassins, so do you want to join? And then you can join it that way.
I just want to say one thing. Werewolves.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that. We'll get finish your assassin, and then we'll get to the werewolf.
No, okay. And that I feel like.
What's the other way to join so people know?
Yeah.
You kill such a terrible. You find this orphan in.
Oh yeah. Oh
so,
no.
So you hear rumblings about this orphan who is like basically summoning
demons.
She's trying to summon the Dark Brotherhood, and you're like, I gotta go save this kid. He doesn't know what he's getting into. And you show up, and he thinks you're from the Dark Brotherhood. And no matter what you do, he's just like, oh, you're finally answering my prayers. Go kill Grandma. You're like, wait, what? So you're supposed to kill this old crotchety lady who's running this orphanage.
Gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, you're supposed to kill this crotchety old lady who's running the orphanage. And so you go, and it's kind of terrible because I did it middle of the day. My sneak was high enough to where if I sneak, I essentially disappear from the universe. I cease to exist for a few minutes or whatever. Headshot, boom, arrow to the head. You would think the kids would freak out. No.
They're like, yay! It's so funny.
The first time I did it, it's like, boom, headshot. Yay! It reminded me of this. There's a skull on Halo. It's called Grunt's Birthday Party. If you headshot a grunt, they explode in confetti and you just hear, yay! That's what it reminded me of. You're like, boom, grandma, headshot, arrow to the head, just blow her head out. And then this kid's just like, she's dead. She's finally dead. And then the assistant's like, what have you done? And you run out, and then everyone tries to kill you. You escape the town, and then the Dark Brotherhood welcomes you, and that's the formal way of doing it. I'm just like, I shouldn't have enjoyed that.
but I did.
But it was ridiculous enough.
So good, and they give you that satisfaction because you walk into the orphanage trying to adopt a child, like. And like I would have killed her not without knowing that's how you start the quest line. Because I was like, you find out, hey, you can have children in the game. I was like, hey, I want to adopt a child. And you find out where the orphanage is. You go in. She's like, these children adopt for adoption. They're for me, and they're my workers. And they're like, we're hungry. Go to bed. I'm like, I'm going to stab you in the eye. So when I find out I have to kill her to join the Dark Brotherhood, I was like, yep.
This is a twofer.
Yeah, I was like, I found
a two for one deal.
Yeah, and the funny part is like the game mechanic is actually set up to where it is impossible for you to adopt a child from the orphanage unless you kill her. Now you can like find children who are abandoned and they're just on the streets, and you can adopt them that way. You just was like,
I found it. It followed me home. Can I keep it?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Like, if you're married, you're just going to be like, so you can get married in the game, whatever. So if you're married, you just come home and just like, hey, so I adopted a child. And your wife's just like, what?
Okay.
All right. I guess I'm your mom now. And it's funny. There's so many good little things about Skyrim. Like, if you sleep 8 hours a day, you get the well-rested bonus. You just do extra damage. If you have a wife and it's bedtime and you go to bed together at the same time, you get the really well-rested bonus. And like, you get a few seconds, you just notice your character runs a little bit faster. Just a tad bit faster.
Little extra spring in the step.
Just a little bit faster when they get up in the morning.
Do that classic jump heel kick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be perfect.
It's funny. It's always like, it's never, and my thing is like, it's an M-rated game, and there's some, but it's never like Grand Theft Auto explicit. It's always kind of like, hey.
Like a little
how about
hint
that?
It's an elbow nudge to let you know it's there. It's there.
Did you see what we did there? You see
I like it.
You see what we did there? Yeah, I like that. And that's how the game is. It's very I don't want to say tongue in cheek because it's not. It's very quirky and it's good and it's cool, which is why I'm excited for Fallout 4.
Werewolves. I know you wanted to talk about the werewolf portion of.
I didn't even want to talk about it. I just wanted to bring it up. Werewolves.
So the werewolf character,
Be ready.
it's cool. I didn't particularly love the storyline. I felt like the vampires were better.
I enjoyed the Thieves Guild the most.
The Thieves Guild was by
Team
far.
Edward's okay, I guess.
No, it's not even that. It's just that
Shots fired.
It's just that, okay, so like vampires are alluded to in the main game, but they don't actually come into existence, or like they don't come into play until the Dawnguard DLC. And you actually have a choice. You can choose to be a vampire hunter, or you can choose to be a vampire. I actually hate the aesthetics of like the vampire in like full mode. So like if everyone's seen Blade, there's like vampires in human form, and then have their quote unquote demonic form. I actually hate the aesthetics. It's like a winged dragon with ugly face, and it's got cool powers, but I just hate the aesthetic of it. So when I did play as vampire, I never went full like. I never did the full transformation because it was cool because you actually started floating. You had bats that would surround you, and like you would use a spell essentially to just drain their blood directly. It can only be used like during the nighttime. If you did it in the daytime, you just get obliterated. The sun would just kill you, and you just weakened. So it had like, as far as like vampire lore, and supposedly you were high vampire as opposed to like, because how it plays out is like you were actually bitten and transformed by a true vampire, the king of the vampires at the time. So essentially it makes you a high vampire instead of like you were bitten by somebody who was somebody.
You were bitten by some schmuck, and so now you have like slightly pointy teeth. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, so you're actually like you were converted by the king of the vampires himself, so it makes you a pure vampire, which makes you a vampire lord. So I mean, it's your vampire lord form. I didn't like the aesthetics of it, so I never like played on it. But the werewolves is kind of like, we're a bunch of ragtag werewolves men, and we have axes. And they literally all talk like Scottish men, and they're all...
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and they have...
So if you like Scottish accents...
And it's funny because their base is literally a Viking ship. It's next to a
Scottish
forge.
Viking vampires.
Yeah.
I feel like there's...
Werewolves.
I'm sorry, yes. Scottish Viking werewolves. I feel like that's just wind layer upon wind layer.
Yeah, that sounds like someone was like literally just like,
funny,
how can we make this
actually, now that I think about it, the vampires are British. They have very, except the daughter, she is, which kind of, the thing about video games, British fathers, British mother, American children. How?
Because
How was that? How, Sway?
Elves. Just blame the elves.
Yeah. No, it's funny. No, because I mean, like, the Lord High Vampire, super proper British accent. I mean, he's drinking somebody's blood, but he's like, make sure your fork is on the right side of the table when you eat in my house. Type thing. So
dab the corners of your mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what
he
like. You walk in and he's feeding on somebody, and it was like, sorry you had to see me so undignified. I'm like, bro, what? You just drained this man's life force. But no, it's funny. So I played through it a couple times. I was vampire a couple times. I hunted the vampires once. I personally had more fun hunting them down because they were one of the more challenging characters. Because if you weren't careful, they could infect you. Like, unintentionally, I became a vampire and got kicked out of the Dawnguard. And so, that was actually one of the fun parts of the play.
Oops, now you're a vampire.
Now we hate you and we're going to hunt you down. And the story just completely goes in the opposite direction.
I remember you were like, I got infected. How do I get rid of it? You were struggling for a little bit to try to get cured.
And I almost got, like, fully transformed and I was so pissed. But, like, phew, like, zero dark 30. Figured it out. Did the quest immediately and like got cured, and then they're like, you're rid of that infection, welcome back to the Brotherhood. And I'm like, man, 45 hours later. No, so
you guys couldn't have told me how to do this.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, my hope is that everything they've learned from Skyrim they're putting into Fallout, which is why I'm excited for Fallout 4. But on that note, let's get into the money to blow section.
Yeah. For sure. So money to blow.
Call me what you want, but you can't call me broke. Money. Pull up with that chopper and a telescope.
You want to go first, John? If you've heard the money to blow section.
Yeah, I know what the money to blow section is. My answer to money to blow is that it's bills.
It's bills.
Bills. Hey, what?
As I said earlier, bills.
No, it's yeah. So, do you haven't bought anything? No comics? No.
Not recently. No, I did. Yeah, I'm not sure what my next purchase would be. Sorry, this is kind of a boring.
Have you seen any of the Marvel hip hop variant covers?
I think I heard you talking about them. I don't know if I've actually seen them.
I'll show you some. I missed actually.
The only like comic cover variant I've got on like my Facebook feed is the new Miller Time comic variants. I'm sorry. For maybe you guys and anybody listening, when I say Miller Time, I'm talking about a comic written by the writer / I think he does some drawing, Frank Miller, who did Batman Year One, which is excellent. He did Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, which is really good and had a very excellent animated adaptation. And then at some point he went like completely crazy and has just written some whack stuff. He wrote a sequel to Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, which was just bad. He made like a horrifically racist thing called Holy Terror. And now
who wrote the sequel?
Frank Miller. It's
Oh
the
yeah,
same
that's
guy.
right. Oh, that's right. Frank Miller did write the.
He's written all this stuff. He's just gotten way, way worse. And now they're putting this one that they're putting out as Batman: The Dark Knight 3 or something like that. The Master Race. I'm like, oh, I'm sure this is going to go great places. This has all sorts of promise.
I want to like Frank Miller, and I actually do like Frank Miller because
I like his
a great writer.
early Frank Miller has
It's one of the
very
best writers out there.
I hate to put it this way, but for sure, post 9/11, or definitely as far as like using writing benchmarks, Dark Knight Strikes Again and later. Dark Knight Strikes Again, like I've read through pretty much everything. It's junk. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not even talking the art, just the storyline.
I'm really hoping. When's the official date for Dark Knight 3 to come out?
The Master Race, I don't know. It's soon. It's been popping up on my feed.
Soon.
And all of the variant covers are, it's kind of telling to me that all of the variant covers are from his first, The Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, when all of your variant covers are from a previous book, that tells me that you don't think your covers for this book are that great. So, I don't know. I mean, unless this is somehow a rehash of the first one and he remasters it, I don't really have that much faith in Frank Miller's writing ability at this point. Like I said, like Caleb said, early Frank Miller has got some really solid stuff. The Daredevil series, which I'm about 8 episodes into, I haven't watched everything, but like Daredevil's costume in that series, the black one, I want to say was a Frank Miller invention. Like he had a run on Daredevil.
I thought the same thing for the
He had a run on Daredevil where I'm pretty sure he gave Daredevil that costume, whether it was like a flashback or like a just costume change era, because that's a thing in comic books. We just change costumes sometimes. But yeah, so that is not on my to buy list. I guess if I had money to blow, I would probably be getting in on the BattleTech Kickstarter for the new turn-based strategy computer game, because that's just one of my favorite long-term franchises. It's kind of had its ups and downs as far as is this going to completely go under or not. But they've got like the guy who's the creator of the original creator of the franchise in on this. The Kickstarter's at like $1.8 or more million funded, so it's at like 700% funded. Everything's looking like it's going to be awesome. So if I had money to burn or blow or any other word we want to insert there, that would be one area I would be doing it. But
yeah, and I've
unfortunately,
Kickstarter is one of those things. I'm just like, I want to support this, but it's kind of like online games at first. I wasn't sure about online games. Now most of my games I buy are online. Digital. Only.
Yeah.
One thing that scares me about Kickstarter was the whole Ouya situation.
I think it depends. My attitude towards it is if it's a known company, if it's a company instead of a guy, that's a good first step because there's more ability for legal responsibility. And then if it's a known company, like there's a company, Reaper, they make gaming miniatures. Me and several friends, we do tabletop gaming a lot, and we use a lot of miniatures, and several of the guys like to paint miniatures, and they make quality stuff. You know, they already had a known product. These are Kickstarters to help them like make the molds and whatnot for plastic miniatures that they produce.
So it's a matter of fact of doing research, right?
Yeah, it's you have to know who you're getting into. Like, is it can you track stuff on it? If it's a known company, if they've done other Kickstarters, that's a good thing.
And like my two big things are like, there's a Metroidvania game, Bloodstained, which is done by the godfather of Metroidvania games, Kigo Igarashi. That one I would have no problem backing. My thing is the Shenmue 3 situation.
They came out and placed at E3. And a lot of people talked about this, so I'm probably just going over things people have heard before. If they listen to any sort of gaming podcast, it's been covered enormously. Shenmue 3 comes out. Sony says, hey, we're going to help these guys kick off their Kickstarter. We don't know how much money Sony already gave them. Sony's helping publish the game. So they said, hey, we're going to help these guys get their Kickstarter started. It was like 3, 2, 1, and do a big countdown. By the time E3 ended, they had obliterated their goal. Literally obliterated their goal. It passed it by 1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah. About a month ago, we need more money. What?
Like, what do you need more money
And it's not.
for?
It's not like, hey, this is where the game is. This is what we're doing. This is what we want to do. We need more money. It's just like, so Shenmue 3 is coming along, but we need more money. And that's all they've said. And we're just like,
that's like setting off alarm bell. Like, I'm not even following this, and that's setting alarm bells off for me.
But like the people who are into Shenmue have like they've already. It was like before they even finished the "we need more money" sentence. It was already funded. I think they had made like $6 million. They needed another 3. They've already gotten 4. Yeah. So they originally. So they were like, we need $3 million to the game. They got like $12 million. I was like, oh, we need another $3 million. They already got another $4 million. So God knows how much money's been put into this game by people just paying out of their pockets, and then we still have no clue what deals they're working with behind Sony. I assume there's going to be some sort of console exclusivity. With Kickstarter, those things are kind of fishy, especially because you don't know if there's a Sony's publishing this game. All those people who own Xbox.
Issue?
Yeah, why do you need a Kickstarter if Sony's publishing it?
And that's the thing. So so it's kind of like a fishy thing.
Because it's not like Sony is some small company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
and like Sony, and like they've had a lot of successes lately. Bloodborne with some forms from Software, huge success. Nathan Drake Collection, sweeping success. They're gonna kill it with I'm blanking. Horizon looks amazing. Horizon Zero Dawn, go look it up. Just the trailers look amazing. I feel like as a gamer, if you're into gaming right now, this is the best place to be in gaming because we're just winning. These two companies are going head to head. The prices are going down. The games are being better made. Like we've had Phil Spencer and Shuhei Yoshida said, we are done with broken games. If you put out a broken game, we will take it off the marketplace until it's fixed. This is something that's on a console marketplace. So they're saying we're done with broken games. We're focusing on first party exclusives, and I feel like when they focus on first party exclusives and they don't worry about as much as third party exclusives, we get away from this nonsense where we're getting a $60 game with a $50 season pass. That is the most. Call of Duty gets away with it because it's Call of Duty, but Star Wars Battlefront doing it is starting to really it's really alarming. I'm saying this now. The only season pass I'm going to pay for after today is the Fallout one. I'm done paying for season passes. I feel like it is an affront to customers. We're paying $60 for this game. We should get $60 content. And I understand like it's a different era. Back then when we bought games, there was an online system to like fix something broken, and if you're done with the game, you're done with the game. Whereas now we're online, we can always get content added. Right. But and again, salute to CD Projekt Red for the way they handle the thing. They even came out and said, we're not interested in doing paid DLC. If we're doing expansion pack, we'd like you to pay for it, but you don't have to. Witcher 4 base content is 100 hours. You can spend 400 hours in that game and still not see the end. There's over 36 different endings, not to mention the amazing Gwent side missions. There are side missions in that game that are better than some of the full games I paid $60 for. That is what this. I understand. Like, not everybody's CG Projekt, not everybody's Rockstar. Not everyone can afford to do things a certain way. But to make me pay $60 for a video game and then announce along with the $50 video game a $50 season pass.
Yeah.
For that same game, and you don't tell me everything that's coming in it. Not to mention, like, I was kind of upset with like I said, Arkham. It's like this is what you get, but it's not quality.
Upset with it.
It's not quality content. You're not putting out. $50 is another. That's almost paying for a brand new game. And if you own like a handheld system, that's a full game. That's another game you could buy for a handheld system. $50 is a gas tank. $50 is not like $60 for a game is already expensive.
Yeah.
Like, granted, and if you look at the
That's
inflation.
Why I was happy with the Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah. So if you look at inflation and things, games are cheaper now than they've ever been comparatively. But like $60 is you don't just sneeze at $60. But and then $50 for the expansion pass. Tell me what's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as I enjoy Arkham Knight, I would totally agree about just seeing the list. It's like most of this stuff is maps, like race maps, new skins.
And if you hate the racing, then you're never gonna play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially when most of the skins for the car are race only, I'm like, really, guys, come on, you know. And I mean, yeah, the little story packs are fun, but they're not. I mean, it's like they need to be putting out like a couple of these a month. A couple of the story missions, what do they call them? Arkham episodes. They need to be putting a couple of those out each month to feel like it's getting to the point where it's worthwhile to be paying only $10 less than the entire game because
I paid $35 for my season pass.
Or whatever it was. I mean, okay, that's a little better, but so then one a month.
Still, the content
I
that
will
was
say
given
that,
for it was, it was laughable. I'm like, they could have done a lot more with the Barbara Gordon aspect, playing as Barbara Gordon Joker.
It was actually, technically, the way they advertised it as the Killing Joke. And I was like, you're kidding, right?
It was like
the game,
sort of, but not quite.
Yeah, exactly.
Aspects of it, but yet it was also death in the family at the same time.
No, well, there can't be death in the family. It's probably death of the family.
Yeah,
because
spoiler,
because Jason Todd was Arkham Knight, and they did show him kill
that. Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's
Jason Todd.
Yeah, that's already in the main game. And so, I mean, you get some of the lines the Joker said, I guess, maybe about how I don't like Batman with Robin, or in the, because I've played the Barbara Gordon thing, and it's like, that's actually, I thought that was a solid bit, because, I've played through the Red, well, compared to the Red Hood one. The Red Hood one was interesting and fun, because the mechanics were different, but it was just like, man, that's not that much.
Yeah.
At least the Barbara Gordon one was, open, and you weren't locked into 3 successive maps like you were at the Barbara Gordon one. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, the saving grace is that Arkham Knight itself is a superb game and has a lot of content in it.
Yeah, and that's why, and like I said, the reason I said I'm paying for, and Bethesda have done the same thing. They're like, hey, game is $60, we understand. $30 season pass, we don't know what's going to be in it yet, but it's gonna be on the scale of Skyrim content. You just heard me speak to how much I love the Skyrim content,
right.
As far as, so with companies like Bethesda, they have a reputation of doing things well.
Yeah.
I said, okay, but for EA to put out Star Wars Battlefront, a game that's been gone since PS2, and then to put it out and people still, and they've said things like, hey, couch co-op is back, but you have to have Xbox Live or PS Plus. No story mode though, but you get to have co-op missions. What?
Oh, it has no story mode?
No story mode whatsoever.
Not even a bare bones one?
Nope. There's no story mode whatsoever. There's couch co-op missions. That's it. There's missions. You do this, go to this base, defend this thing against this thing, where you fight AI-controlled stormtroopers, and that's it.
Ugh.
So, again, so you're... And, I know we had a discussion about the value of content, but at some point... what is the return on investment for customers? And this is where I feel like I'm taking a personal stand against pre-ordering and it's standing against DLC. Now there's an exception to every rule. I will give Assassin's Creed a shot this year, and if it's not a great game, I'm done with that series. After what happened with Unity,
I was gonna say. I mean, I feel like that's a very valid stance to take.
It's a stretch for me to even pick up this game, but I'll pick it up. I'll give them a shot. They've acknowledged they messed up, and I'll pick it up. I'll play it. I'll give them a shot. I'm not buying any other DLC. Forget they have, and people are doing it. They're buying the gold edition, which is we need to stop this trend in this tracks right now, because they're putting out the $60 version of the game. Now you feel like you're not getting your full value because you paid $20 more, which is $80. You get the season pass included, so you get all this extra stuff. And I'm sort of no, now I'm not. What makes me different than the guy that pays $80 for his game when I pay $60? I feel like all this other stuff. There's the Jack the Ripper stuff. That's amazing content. It is literally robbing me of content that fits in the time period and would be excellent with the game.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
It's Jack the Ripper. It doesn't get any better. So you're an assassin. You're hunting down Jack the Ripper in London in 18th century, 1800 Victorian England.
And you have a top hat and mutton chops. I mean,
like why would you deprive your fan base of this content? You say, oh, well, this is for a true fan. No, just because a guy pays more money for the game doesn't make him a true fan. I feel like honest to goodness fans of this game should boycott the DLC and say, hey, we are paying for this game. We're paying $60 for this game. It says 40 hours a week I put into a job to pay $60 for this game. There's no reason I should have to pay more money to get extra content, especially characters and skins. And, like, I'm really upset about the Jack the Ripper thing. The Charles Darwin and the Charles Dickens thing, I was like, fine, whatever. I don't care about that much. Probably 6 story missions anyway. But the Jack the Ripper things that set me on fire. Now they want $80 for the gold edition. So it's technically discounted, but then $40 for the season pass, so $49.99, so $50 for a season pass. So
oh gosh,
I feel like gamers as a community has to Call of Duty. Like, I don't know, kids are gonna just bother their parents.
You can't say anything about Call of Duty.
I feel like that's where it started, and since we've allowed it to progress this far, it's why it's in this situation. Mm-hmm. But I feel like people, like, I am taking a personal stand against pre-ordering anything. Like, if it's not the reason it's kind of catch-22 for me is I love collector's editions, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. So for me,
and they give you cool things sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
But those things are usually limited. So I feel like I have to pre-order those in order to get the things that I want. And like, so like I have Dragon Quest Heroes Collector's Edition coming sometime this month. It comes with a couple things, like a plush of this thing and that thing. It comes with in-game content. For me, it's for the collectibles, the real life stuff.
Yeah,
I'm willing
the props.
The props.
Whatever.
I enjoy the lore of the content, so like I enjoy like having those real life stuff, and that I can justify paying a little bit more for collector's edition content. But people who aren't getting collector's edition content, it's really all in-game stuff. So this is all stuff that you programmed, you had in mind, or at some point, like during the development process, someone said, "Hey, let's do Jack the Ripper," and they're like, "Okay, yeah, that's cool. Oh, we can sell this." They take it out of the game and now they're selling it. I'm just like, come on, guys. We're paying for these things. I'm like, I feel like if I play the main game and it's worthwhile, I said, okay, I'll buy your next game, but I'm not paying for the DLC. I'm not paying for the DLC for any Assassin's Creed game ever again. I'm just done. Like, they don't deserve that after what we got with Unity. Now, if it comes out, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. Without the DLC, okay, maybe we can have a conversation. Okay, Ubisoft, sit at the table, let's have this conversation. But like, I feel like the point we're just at the point where like we're just being taken advantage of.
Like it's almost like microtransactions are creeping into paid games. Like they're already in free to play, and I mean you can go back and forth on good bad there. It's like no, you're right. There does need to be a line because it's like if I'm paying for the game, I shouldn't have to pay again for the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I mean, I think if they're not careful, they're going to lose money because they're going to lose all their customers because everybody's going to have the attitude we have of, like I said, I already paid for the game once. I don't want to pay for the game again. I don't want to have to pay for all these extra fiddly bits. I'm just going to go into these guys who I pay once. I've got the game. Life is awesome. I'm moving on.
And this is what I resorted to doing. YouTubers, there's like maybe 10 YouTubers that I subscribe to. Most of them do one thing or another very well. There's one guy I listen to or watch, Chris Smooth. He usually gets the game early, and he's a YouTuber.
I think he already has.
He's put pictures up. He got the game early. He's gonna put content up. Okay. So I resorted to if you're gonna make people pay for this content, I refuse to pay for it. I will play the base game. I will then go watch ads to support a YouTuber that I like. Watch the content, and then I'll watch it that way. Because if you think I'm gonna pay for this content, you're delusional. But I will support somebody else in their efforts to put this content out. That's why I like streaming, and that's why I like YouTube. I think it's a good place. I think gaming on YouTube is about to be, in the next 10 years, the biggest thing in the world. Like the International, which is a Dota competition. Dota is a MOBA, is the biggest prize pool out of anything. The last team that won took home $6.6 million. A piece. Not as a team. $6.6 million a piece.
And how many people were on the team?
5. Team of 5.
And I'm trying to join and
yeah, I mean, but this is a whole different level of competition.
Yeah.
So it's.
So that's what, like an almost $35 million pot.
And that was just the winning team. Not to talk about the $1.5 million the second team took place, the $700,000 the third place took team. Yeah, there's money in esports, and it's
kill it. It is.
I need to find out how to get in on these sports.
Oh yeah, these things they're out there. They're oh man, it's wonderful. I'm ESPN is starting to broadcast this thing. I know Colin Coward said it. If ESPN makes me broadcast video games and these nerds in their basement, I'm gonna shoot myself. Fine, get out of here. We don't care. We're making money anyway. So I feel like gaming is coming to it's to the point where it's like the preferred form of media over movies, because movies are passive entertainment where gaming is
interactive.
Active.
Right.
Yeah, you decide the fate of the character you're playing on screen, or as an RPG, you assume the role of this character and you decide the fate in this escapist universe. And VR, I think, if done right, VR and 3D have kind of come in waves over the last 20, 50 years. So they've had different variations.
Virtua Boy, anyone? That was the intent.
Yeah. So VR could, if done right, propel gaming into the stratosphere. And
that's probably still going to take us.
It's going to take a while.
I feel like in another
they're making steps, but it's just there's just so much with it that it's going to take a while. I think you're right. Once they get it to where it not only works but is accessible for all of us to be able to do virtual reality outside of like going to like the mall and paying like $50 for an hour or something, you know. Once it's to that point, definitely.
I think the thing about virtual reality that's really cool, like you're saying, like gaming, it's another level of media and entertainment and everything's going to be like the next step. The thing is, like when it comes down to movies and all this, the director is the one who chooses exactly what you look at and everything. But everyone's different. Some people, when it comes down to life, they like to see the things that are like right there. The other people are like, I'm going to pay attention to stuff in the background. And the thing with gaming, you get to choose what you do. And virtual reality, that'll make it even better because you can have like this person who's playing the game or whatever, looking at the story right here, or you can have the guy who's over here doing whatever he wants to do, and that'll make like everyone can do that.
It'll make it even easier and more fulfilling for everybody to focus on what they want to focus on.
And if anyone has read Ready Player One, I feel like that's the best. Well, not like all the like, post-apocalyptic stuff that happens, but like the best case scenario for what virtual gaming can do. It becomes not just a video game, but worlds where we exist and where people can set up online shops. And so, like in your game world, there is a Target, and you go into the virtual Target and you order things virtually, and then you take off your VR helmet and you go to work and you come home. The items you ordered in the virtual store were sent over to a server to the real Target, and they just delivered to your house. So within the game world, there's a video game, but then there's like the lobby. But the lobby is kind of like, and I know we can get into trouble where people stop like. That's when you really blur the line between like reality and fantasy, and there's a lot of like social and like psychological issues that go along with that. But I feel like it could, and I keep saying this, if done well, could be very beneficial for many things. I mean, I feel like we could do things like take away gaming. You get virtual reality to the point where you can reconstruct the brain and you can actively follow the path of a brain from infancy or conception all the way to death, and you can see how the brain grows and is affected by certain things without having to have human test subjects. You can essentially program a brain and then just tell a computer, okay, so this is how the brain works, and you can introduce things like chemical testing for like brain tumors and like I feel like the applications are worldwide. I mean, that's why Facebook owns Oculus. Facebook bought Oculus for I don't know how many $1 billion, and they're doing things like, hey, we're going to bring internet to privately stricken parts of Africa, and we're going to bring virtual reality to classrooms. And so if you're this and that and you're paraplegic and you can't get out of your house, but you can still attend a virtual classroom. So they're vast and awesome implications, and I think it has to be done right, handled well. But we are the gatekeepers to these things. If we don't say, this is bad, we don't want this. The companies who make $1 billion, millions of dollars a year, they will decide which path we go down. And we have to be the ones who say, okay, no, you guys aren't the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers. This is how we want things, and we won't stand for it. And I have to applaud the entire game community at large for giving Microsoft the big old middle finger during their initial Xbox One launch, and they were like, all this DRM stuff, and everyone was like, ha!
no. And then they were like, the price was $500, and they said, and there was I don't know if anyone remembers that E3, but there was an audible gasp when they said the price, and everybody was like, and then Sony,
was that the same E3 where PlayStation just mic dropped on the whole?
Yeah, and Sony, I think they knew. There was like, cause like up until the week, no one knew who was gonna go first, and then all of a sudden Sony was like, Microsoft can go first. We're fine doing that. A week before, they just like something just clicked. Like Microsoft will be going first at the Sony press conference. Yada 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 yada.
And if I had been Microsoft, I would have taken a second to say, wait.
No, and so like Microsoft. I mean, I feel like they had some great ideas, just poor execution, poor management, and like poor messaging. And so the head of Sony Japan and head of Sony America, Adam Boyes and Shueisha to come out and just like $100 cheaper. And then they put up this video. This is how you share games on PlayStation. And he just hands in the game, and they just smile. And they're like, we're done. We're done. And then they get into some other bands, like, oh, your PlayStation Plus is required to get free games a month and this and this. But it was just like, $100 cheaper. This is how you share games. Your move, Microsoft. And the entire month, Microsoft was just backtracking. And at that point, when they came out,
they did backtrack the entire conference.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, it's like we all know, if anyone else, like PlayStation
has to go down.
PlayStation is killing the market right now. Like, PlayStation is ahead of the market, and as far as Xbox is concerned, by 3.5 miles. It is bad. Microsoft isn't doing that bad, but Sony's got a ginormously. Not to mention they've already got the Japanese market. They solidified their stuff about the Japanese market. The Chinese market came out. They just took over the Chinese market. The European market, they own the European market. And, like, this is the first time where, like, it's been, hey, the Xbox isn't winning in its home region. The PlayStation is winning in North America. This is the Xbox. They're literally coming in. They came and they said, oh, we don't need away games. We don't need home games. We'll give you all 5 home games, and we're still going to win.
Kind of looping back to what you were saying about like the VR, and you're like in your VR game and you order something in like a virtual Target and it's at your house. That there were like very faint shades of that at least a couple of years ago in World of Warcraft. I don't know if it's still a function. I remember at one point there was something where you could be playing the game and you could type a command in like the chat, and it would let you order, like, this is simplistic, but it would let you order a pizza. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if it was Domino's or Pizza Hut or whatever, but you didn't have to leave your game to order a pizza. I mean, it's not the same, but it's like clearly somebody was thinking along the same lines. I mean, you can already, just with internet ordering in general, you can get essentially anything you want. You can get groceries. You know, I used to joke about how Amazon had everything but like groceries and cars. I'm pretty sure Amazon has groceries and cars. You know, or at least groceries.
Yeah,
so
they have
I mean,
groceries
it's just,
now.
like, and now you can get it drone delivered. So, congratulations, we're living a step away from the Terminator movies too.
We probably should finish this Money to Blow segment.
Dang, I forgot about that we were even doing that.
Well, Mookie over here talked about what we shouldn't blow our money on.
Yeah, I didn't even think I did even money. Okay, so actual money to blow.
Well, you see, he did his, kind of, and then we hadn't done it. We just
I mentioned Kickstarter and it rolled downhill.
Yeah. Anyway, so money to blow section. I picked up 2 games: Dragon Age Inquisition. Give me their edition, which is the base game plus all the DLC. That's how I prefer to play my games. I would have done it from the start anyway, but I was too busy playing Destiny, so I said, I enjoy the series enough. I'll wait for all the DLC to come out. Picked it up, $60. I'm fine with that. Wasteland 2, huge surprise for me. Picked it up, $40. I was like, this is gonna be a game that prep me for Fallout. It's really good. It's been on PC for a while. It's post-apocalyptic, turn-based, tactical RPG. So it's really cool. As soon as like you get to assemble your team. The game either starts you out with a base team, or you can construct your team from the start. And then there's like character archetypes in the world, and you can pick them up or decide not to pick them up. And it's a permanent death system. So if a character dies, they're dead. And the funny part is, I noticed this, they actually save. As soon as the character dies, they save. So you can't go back and reload your previous saves. So if you try to quick load, you're gonna quick load to the point where your character already died. And it's cool because there's like radiation out in the world, and there's There's enemies you have to deal with, and there's like attitudes. Well, sometimes people in your own team won't clash, and like there's this mechanic. If you don't have a leader, or there's like it's a leader skill. If you don't have a leader on your team, some of the people who you picked up some of the other characters in the world that you pick up and just say, hey, can I ride with you? Help me out. He may be a shotgun specialist, but his loyalty only is like 30%. Sometimes you're like, all right, it's time to do his move. Before you even decide what to do, he runs off, uses action points, and just shoots a shotgun and gets friendly fire damage. You're like, what are you doing? So you have to be careful of managing resources. I ran into this problem where I was like, I had two guys who were using assault rifles, and so I was burning through assault rifle ammo, and I was like, oh, I need to change your skills quickly. So that's been a good one.
Yeah, I have a good question about the game. So what was up with those cows?
So there's this guy, she's just character, she's a shamanist. There's an actual animal whisperer skill. So I didn't realize this until like 30 minutes and a half, and I was like, you can have cows follow you. No, she actually gets like stat boosts. Yeah, for like having, and there's actually as an achievement for having 3 goats follow you. But
I know, I was sitting there watching One Piece, and I just turned over and like, cows were following you forever. And I was like, okay.
Now I've got to go find 3 goats to keep away to protect her, because now she gets this like eye skill to where she never misses a single. She's a sniper, and if you have 3 goats following you, she never misses. She has a 100% hit rate. And I'm just like, I need to find goats immediately. Where are these goats? I need these goats. But other than that, I didn't pick up my the rest of the Marvel hip hop variant covers that came out Wednesday. I'm gonna try and pick them up tomorrow, or wait until next Wednesday to see if Will still has them. I'm probably gonna go up there, see if they have them, so I can pick them up, and then pick up this week's hip hop variant covers. I'm gonna pick up all the hip hop variant covers, and then I'm gonna go back and make like a $300 purchase and pick up the rest of my queue, because it's been like 3 months now. So that was my money to blow section. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of chilling until Fallout comes out.
Yeah.
All right, my money to blow section this week, it goes to one of my friends. I have to buy her some shades, so I bought her some shades.
You mean the shades you stole from Dominic's girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know about you.
We
know about
stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I had to buy her some shades. Then I bought some stuff for YouTube, and next time I get some money, I'm going to have to buy my tickets for NakaCon.
You still haven't done that?
No, I have not.
I'm so excited for NakaCon. Which, by the way, we may have to, like, on, like, a Saturday night, like, a late Saturday night after, like, everything's done, maybe do a recording on just how we feel about the week of it. That's talked about. We can talk about that down the road. Anyways, I'm excited for NakaCon. So for me, let's see. What did I do? Nathan Drake, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. I did buy. Well, last week. So I've been actually spending my time playing that since I bought it. I don't think I've really blown on anything else. Just trying to save for a car now. Gotta make that money and save for this car. I need it bad. So at this point, I'm just kind of saving money, and then until I'm traveling again, I'm saving money for a couple trips coming up in December and January. So I don't really have much on my money to blow this week. That's it. Just the games, or the game that has games in it. Yeah. Anyways, so
Checks one way, half a dozen the other.
yeah. So not too much of that. I think at this point it's time for the wrap up. This was definitely a very great episode, a very, very enjoyable episode. Everybody's gonna have a lot to listen to.
I came in toward the end, and I can tell already there's a lot of stuff.
There was a lot of stuff, John. We thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Hey, I had a bunch of fun. I was kind of looking forward to, not gonna lie. So
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you on again for sure. And we'll set a later date for future to have you on, because obviously we just had a lot to talk about, and we're at the point where we probably should stop, because we'll be here for hours, which we've already been here for hours.
We need to let our adoring fans have a break when they're listening to the podcast.
So with that, I just want to let everybody know that we do have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. The Facebook page is Even More About Nothing. The group is Even More About Nothing Podcast. It's a place, a forum where you can post anything that you want, chat with everybody else who's a part of the group or listens to the podcast as well. Give us your thoughts, what you like, what you want to hear, things that you enjoy. It's also a place where you guys can ask questions about us. If you want to learn anything about maybe just about the podcast itself or us individually, just go ahead and post those questions there. With that being said, I'm Rafiki. You can follow me on Instagram at Black Rafiki, on Twitter at Black Rafiki 30, and also the same on Snapchat. Ace?
Alright, I'm Ace. You can follow me on Snapchat, Instagram at Demiris07 or Demiris15. You can get me on YouTube at Demiris07, Demiris15, or Ace Oliver.
And I'm Mookie. I'm on almost everything as Mookie833. Sony, let us change our names. Because there's fraudulent Mookies out here running with my gamer tag, and I need it. I need you to change your gamer tag immediately. So, Shuhei, I know you listen to Greg and Colin more, but you need to start listening to me. Change our names. Let us change our names, PlayStation. And get off that soapbox. But yeah, I'm on Mookie833 is everything. Find me, add me. If you're looking to play for me on Xbox Live, Mookie833.
Yeah.
PSN is the real Mookie833. Add me. If I'm not doing anything, willing to play games with you.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I'm also on PlayStation as Black Rafiki. Find me on Twitch as Black Rafiki as well. So
PlayStation as Ace Oliver. Xbox Live. It's been a minute, but Permios Playboy.
same on Xbox. I have the same name on Xbox.
I need to make a new Xbox.
And I'm John. I'm on the internet. You can find me. We'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or have any comments, email us at
even more about nothing at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Follow us on our podcast on iTunes. And also on SoundCloud if you don't have Apple products and not on iTunes. So SoundCloud or iTunes, we are there. You can find us.
One other thing, I actually want. Can I still do that thing? I want to put our podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so
actually, we even have our YouTube channel already.
Set up. All right, so yeah, you can get us on YouTube as well, and we'll post clips and certain subjects and everything on YouTube at Even More About Nothing.
They were working on getting some sort of like either dash cams or just recording the sessions and then like for an episode like this where it's 3 hours long, we can break it into segments and break it into like maybe like 20 minute, 35, 40 minute
and then it'll be under a
and
playlist called When John's Here.
yeah, things like that. We've talked about it. We've talked about, game clips and content. We're working on it. It's coming. Life is crazy, as most adults know. You try to do one thing and 7-5 other things pop up. So we're working on it.
I hear that.
Yeah, we're working on it. We'll do our best to get whatever kind of content up we can. We'll try some things. If they work, cool. If they don't, try and try again.
The man isn't keeping us down, so we'll do what we want.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, man. It's been fun. Catch you guys later.
All right, deuces.
See ya.
Bye.